Welcome, one and all, to the PACIFIC414 YouTube channel. My name is Mike, and I'm glad you could be here. What is the PACIFIC414 YouTube channel, you might be asking? This channel is about a series I call The Box Score, where I recap each and every Chicago Cubs game that I'm able to watch. It's also about the Box Score's sister series called The Mound Visit, where during Major League Baseball's offseason, I discuss all the news and rumors going about the league. However, I'm not just a baseball guy, I'm an all-around guy. That's why on this channel you will see PACIFIC414 episode reviews, where I give my latest review and opinion of an episode of a TV series that I am watching. You will also see PACIFIC414 movie reviews, where I review movies of the past and present. You will also see a weekly series called PACIFIC414 Pop Talk, where I talk about all the news, rumors, and opinions going throughout pop culture, entertainment, anime, video games, and more. You'll also find live game streams on this channel, and you'll find my version of shorts called Quick Takes. Due to adult language, however, this channel is not recommended for those under 18. I hope you like what you see here on the channel, and if you do, feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section on a video, give it a thumbs up, share the video, and consider subscribing to the PACIFIC414 YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you, and have yourself a great day.
Welcome, one and all, to a very special PACIFIC414 Pop Talk. Sorry for laughing, but I'm sure some of you are going, really, Mike? That's the version of the theme you used? Yes, that's the version of the theme I decided to use. The Super NES version. I don't care. Try to avoid any copyright claim, copyright strike. So welcome, one and all, to tonight's episode of PACIFIC414 Pop Talk. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and tonight we celebrate the 45th anniversary of Star Wars. That's right, because 45 years ago on this date, the movie wasn't known as A New Hope, it was known as Star Wars, and it captivated audiences worldwide. From my grandparents to my parents to my sister, myself, my cousins, my friends, all of you, Star Wars captivated our hearts. It captured our hearts. Some 45 years ago today, a movie that exploded in popularity in 77 and ran for a full year in the theaters. I may not have been born in 77, I was born in 78, but even in 78, the movie was still in theaters. This movie has been the genesis of the original trilogy, two animated series back in the 80s. And yes, the two Star Wars specials. I know how we all feel about the Star Wars specials. And yeah, I know. And of course, it spawned the prequel trilogy. And yes, I know. Again, yes, I know it's a sore subject. I realize that, but without the original Star Wars wouldn't have been that $1 billion transaction for Disney, and we wouldn't have gotten the sequel trilogy. Say what you will about them, but yeah, it is what it is. Tonight, it's all about the original, the one that started it all, the one that gave us so many memories, so many books, so many video games, and so many toys. And I do want to welcome all of you to the official Star Wars Day, May 25th, 2022, in celebration of May 25th, 1977. Yes, I know May the 4th has been marketed over and over and over again. But let's face it, for many of us who grew up on the original trilogy, this is the true Star Wars Day. This is the day that is sacred to Star Wars fans worldwide. And before I continue, I do want to say hello to the chat. Hello to DJRonnieG and Out Rewind. He also says, "Oh, thank goodness. I thought it was over." Okay, so maybe I did have a little bit of a long intro, but hey, I need to shower before I can yard in. All right. He also says, "My dad took my mom on a date to episode 4. He wasn't into it, but my mom always liked it." He also says, "I like the specials and the Ewoks, sort of." And the Padawannabe says, "Happy Life Day." Happy Life Day indeed. Resolute Germ, welcome. He says, "I always wanted to try to work roasted over an open fire." Okay. If that's what suits you, I'm not going to stop you. Wouldn't recommend it, but I'm not going to stop you. DJ Running G says, "Yes, the video games were my fave." Yes, they were hard. They were very hard, especially when you played Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back on the NES, and then you get to the Super NES, and there's Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, and Super Return of the Jedi. You talk about hard, frustrating games; those were it. And DJ Running G also says, "What do?" Resolute Germ. So everybody, today is a very happy day, and it's a celebratory day because it's not too often there are franchises that reach the 45th anniversary and still have some staying power. And again, I know somebody's going to say, "But what about what's currently going on with Star Wars?" Well, that's why I have the link there in the chat for anybody who wants to come on, discuss the original Star Wars, the original trilogy, prequel trilogy, sequels, games, books, give your thoughts and opinions on any one of those subjects. And, let's have a little fun. I plan on going till 10 o'clock Eastern. So let's do this. And the first person to accept the challenge is Anono Mass. Welcome, brother. Happy Life Day.
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you always.
Always. Yeah, man, I like talking Star Wars. And I never get to talk Star Wars with anybody. Nobody likes it around here except for me and my kid, but he generally doesn't talk this sort of thing. So I'm here. I'm not queer, and let's get this thing on the road.
All right. So my first question to you is, how old were you when you first saw Star Wars?
4 years old. So now you can determine my age. I should have shut up. Why did I do that?
No, because that was the same age I saw it. 4 years old. I was born in 78. You know, watching the original movie for the first time, the non-special edition, which is the way we should see it. And I'll be perfectly honest, I would love for them to release a non-specialized edition of the original trilogy. I would scoop that up.
Do you not figure out a way to get the despecialized versions?
I have seen it. I just haven't decided to bite on that yet.
I got them.
Yeah. Although I'm sure if I look through some old VHSs, I can find it. The question is the tape still good? Because how the tapes degrade after so long.
Oh man, I have them too, and I lost Empire and Return of the Jedi. I had the first Star Wars in my possession, but I lost the other two somewhere in a box somewhere in my storage. And it was a month ago I finally found them. And one of them, the Return of the Jedi, has some mold on the top of the film. When you see through the window.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm afraid. I could take it apart, maybe clean it a little bit. But yeah, I'm afraid that one's goner.
Yeah, because you don't want to get anything on that tape because you know exactly what's going to happen if anything touches that tape at this age.
Yeah, it had to have got a little moisture in there and where it was at. I can't believe I lost those. That drives me nuts. But now all I got is the on film or on tape or is the specialized editions. Sneaking Lucas.
Yeah, I unfortunately, the only copy most of us have right now is the specialized George Lucas cuts. That's what I call them. And honestly, as someone who watched the movies as they originally were, you can tell where he inserted stuff.
Oh yeah,
especially when you go by your own memory. You can go, that wasn't there before.
Yeah, I watched them so many times. I could quote them verbatim as I'm going. Mm-hmm. I could tell you every scene that wasn't in there originally.
Yep, and that's the thing. You just mentioned how you can quote the movies verbatim. There aren't too many movies that are made nowadays that you can quote verbatim. You can quote Star Wars verbatim, Indiana Jones verbatim, Back to the Future verbatim.
Yep, Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the best freaking movies ever. The 80s were such an awesome time for movies and TV shows. I don't know how. I don't know. Well, even before all the politics crap, I don't know. I guess after the 2000s, it started going downhill. I mean, you had really good stuff in the 2000s, 90s, or not after the 2000s. I'm talking like, I guess after the 90s, 2000 on, you had some good stuff, but you could see the decline, I guess. But the 80s just had everything you can think of. Mm-hmm. If you just go through the years of the list of movies for that year and like the box office gross, you'll see like a list longer than my arm of some of the most awesome movies that has ever been made in one year. 84, was it 84 or 86 was like the primo year for the 80s movies.
I mean, take your pick. You could look at both years and find movies that were out in the theaters at the time. I mean, in '86, for example, Top Gun's out in the movie theaters,
Yeah.
and we have Top Gun Maverick coming this Friday.
And some have already seen it. I gotta wait like 2 weeks. I'm going on vacation, and then there's an IMAX there, and we're looking for things to do, so we're gonna save Top Gun for the IMAX. So now I gotta wait. I gotta dodge, dip, and duck all the spoilers and stuff. So,
well, I'm gonna give you a heads up. Avoid the channel because I do plan on going to see Top Gun Maverick, and I'm gonna try not to give away spoilers, but I can't promise anything.
yeah, I hear you. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. So, when it came to the original Star Wars, how many times do you think you've seen it throughout your lifetime?
I've lost count, man. I've literally lost count. It has to be over 100. Has to be. I've wore out my tapes. I think I've had two copies of each one on tape, and then even that, even before I was able to actually purchase them at the store, we used to do this thing back in the day. We'd rent a VCR and the videos at the video store, and we'd go buy Polaroids or whatever cheap tape you can get, and we'd like hook up VCRs to each other and just record them.
Yeah, I knew people
pirating.
I knew people who would do that, and they would make multiple copies, and they would say, "Hey, you want to see this movie?"
No crap!
There
I never gave it away. I just did it for myself. I just wanted copies of them before I could afford to buy them. But yeah, I mean, I did what I had to do. It's freaking Star Wars. I couldn't wait for it to come on, Monday night movies or something. ABC Monday night movie. That wasn't happening.
And then, of course, when it did, what did the whole family do? We sat there in the living room and we watched it.
Yep.
And of course,
every time
the commercials would come up, and we're like, "Come on, let's get back to the movie. Come on."
Commercials were good intermissions. Got to go pee. Got to go get some more soda. Got to get some popcorn. Yeah, I know it sucked on TV. It sucked watching stuff on TV because they cut stuff out. I hated that. Hated it. But this movie was formatted for your TV viewing experience, whatever. It's like, nah, that means you cut like 20 minutes out. It sucks.
And I don't even know because I haven't seen it in the stores where I live. But the Jiffy Pop popcorn, you put it on the stove, and
no, we couldn't afford Jiffy Pop. we cooked our popcorn in a pan with bacon grease.
Well, that works too.
Yeah, it worked. Sometimes it didn't work too well, but most of the time it worked. We got it down pretty good.
So when you were growing up, were you immediately attracted to any certain character when you watched the movie, or was it all the characters?
Yeah, no. Luke was obviously the main draw because he was the main hero. And the droids were probably second. Han Solo never really spoke to me that much as a kid. He's all roguish and lovey-dovey with Leia. And of course, Leia, you're a kid. Girls are icky. But still, even saying that, even as a kid, I do remember, Leia and her buns and her nice sheer white dress with her boobs flopping around. So, even at 4 years old, I noticed that.
Yep.
So,
and what George Lucas told Carrie Fisher is, in space, you don't wear a bra. Okay, that's my bad George Lucas impression. I apologize.
I couldn't do a George Lucas impression to save my life. I don't even know what he sounds like half the time. He's not
Yeah,
exactly one of those guys with a distinctive voice and um, personality. So
every time you see him in an interview, it's like, well, my vision was this, that, and the other.
yeah, you could do 17 different voices for George Lucas, and they'll all be correct.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you say that's George Lucas, I'll believe you.
And what did you think of Darth Vader when you first saw him on screen?
I wasn't scared, but he just screamed bad guy to me, just terror, and the movie wasn't like scary, but you
Mhm.
just knew this was like fantasy bad guy, and he lifted that guy up off the ground and broke his neck and stuff, and it was like, oh my gosh, this guy is just top of the line um evil guy. You're 4 years old, he's evil, he's a bad guy, kill him. But Darth Vader was menacing. um I don't think we got enough of, I mean, yeah, there's things about the first Star Wars I wish was better done, um but for the time, he was awesome. He just, you knew where the lines were drawn. You knew that he was it as the big bad. So
Mhm.
loved him.
And you look at the original film, and yes, you think in hindsight things could have been done a little bit better. Certain scenes you might have reworked, but considering the decade and the time period, like you were saying, they did an awesome job with what
Heck
they
yeah.
had.
Yeah. It was a labor of love, obviously. I mean, I can't even remember how much money they had to make this movie. It was low budget. And what he did with what he had and the team he had, just phenomenal.
Mhm.
People don't take that kind of care to make movies that much nowadays, that well, with very little. So
Yep.
kudos to George Lucas. He shaped my childhood. Him and the team he had. I'm gonna give credit to the team, because even as a visionary as he was, his vision needed polish, and he
Yep.
got it through other people, and they shaped that movie just as much as he did.
Well, if it wasn't for the influence of his ex-wife, Marshall
Yep.
Lucas, the movie wouldn't have been edited the way it was. And before I continue, I do want to say hello to Alan Copeland. Good to see you, brother. It's been a while.
Hell, Alan Copeland and Padawannabe and Resolute Germ and I forget who else was here.
DJRonnieG is also here.
DJRonnieG. There you go.
But yeah, I mean, you look at the influence that this one movie had on the entire industry. Motion capture cameras for the models. You'd never seen filming of the models like that before.
Yeah.
A lot of times it was on wires, and i- instead of the camera moving, the model would move. So you know, without George Lucas and Industrial Light and Magic, we would have received Star Trek: The Motion Picture. It's this one movie that sparked Paramount to say, well, if they have Star Wars, what do we have?
Yeah.
Well, we have Star Trek. There's so many things that are owed to the creation of Star Wars.
Yeah. And what technologies were created to make this movie, and the things that we have today that were advanced off of what Star Wars did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything has a beginning, and he did some very off the wall, out of the box things that progressed into stuff we have today. So
And let's say hello to the man of the hour, George Lucas. How you doing, George?
I tip my hat, George.
Yes, thank you for what you gave all of us, the imagination, the fantasy. I mean, this one movie, it inspired generations of people, and it's still inspiring younger generations. I mean, if I'm gonna, tell anyone, watch the original Star Wars first.
Yes.
Then watch The Empire Strikes Back. Then watch Return of the Jedi. In that order.
Yep.
And that, go ahead.
I was like, yeah, a lot of people will start watching it at episode 1 and then move to episode 6, and I don't think I'd like to do that, because I know the story is not in chronological order, but it's worth it to watch them as they came out in sequential. What is it? Sequential, not sequential, but chronological order. It's the first one that came out versus the last one that came out. But yeah, you need to watch them like that, because they were so much more magical than the prequels, to be honest. And they will capture, if you have never seen any of them, those will capture your imagination, especially as a child. It will capture your imagination far greater than the prequels will.
Mm-hmm. And, say what you will about the prequels. Yeah, there are some things that even I will say, yeah, that wasn't good. That should have been reworked and possibly reshot. But
Yeah.
I can sit through the prequels, no problem. And yes, I'll admit, and I know I'm not alone when I say this, that Revenge of the Sith is my favorite of the prequels for obvious reasons.
As it is most everybody's.
But I do want to take a look here at one of the original trailers for Star Wars. And for anyone who's unfamiliar with the trailers, the way they were done back in the 70s, it's quite different than how they are done now. So I'll be playing this. I will be pausing to try to avoid any copyright claim, copyright strikes.
Somewhere in space, this may all.
Can you guys hear it?
Right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
20th Century Fox and George Lucas, the man who brought you American Graffiti, now bring you an adventure unlike anything on your planet. Star Wars.
Here they come.
I mean, look how simple that is. It's not rock and roll music. It's not anything, that goes out of what it's supposed to be. It's like, okay, here's a new movie coming out.
The story of a boy, a girl, and a universe.
And yes, I'm going to admit, and you probably knew it by the hat, but Vader is my favorite. And before I continue, I do want to say hello to Phil McCracken. He says, release the Shatner cut, Star Trek 5.
I hope there's a nice Shatner cut for that.
The Padawannabe says, love the prequels. Clone Wars is my favorite prequel film. And Phil McCracken says, White Sox true team of Chi-Town. Like, come on, Phil. We're trying to have a good time here. If you'd like to come on, Phil, the link is up in the top of the chat. You're more than welcome, brother.
It's a big, sprawling space saga of rebellion and romance. It's a spectacle. Light years ahead of its time.
I am C3PO, human cyborg relations.
And this is my counterpart, R2D2.
Hello.
I mean, it's simple. They're not trying to be flamboyant about it. They're not trying to, shove it in your face. They're just showing you enough of the movie to make you go, look at this. This is different. I could see why so many people went and saw it after seeing this trailer.
It's an epic of heroes.
I think they had me at the TIE Fighter.
They had me at the Millennium Falcon.
Yep.
And aliens from 1,000 worlds.
Tuscans. Yeah, they're not nice.
No, they're just misunderstood, indigenous people. Come on.
And no, that's not an error. This was before they finished the special effects, so you see that the lightsabers were white.
Yep.
Poor R2.
Star Wars. 1 billion years in the making. And it's coming to your galaxy this summer.
Man, this trailer is so Roger Corman B movie. Just the vibe is just cheap, but it was awesome.
Yeah, because none of the studios were given it a chance when George Lucas was passing it around.
No.
Disney passed it up. Paramount passed it up. So many of them passed it up. And when Fox took it on, George at least had the wherewithal to, hold on to all the merchandising rights.
Yeah. That was a genius move. Genius. That's what made him a freaking billionaire.
And hello, Pops. If you have time, brother, you're more than welcome to hop on the stream. I have the link on top. And let's see. Padawannabe says, and no haters screamed, that wasn't how explosions looked in space then. No. You know what people did back then? They went to movies and they enjoyed them for what they were. Entertainment.
Yep. Didn't care what space physics were back then. Didn't care. Didn't care that a giant space station, the size of a freaking planet could move around in hyperspace. Didn't care.
No.
So
none of that mattered. It was all about getting lost in that galaxy far, far away.
The story was phenomenal, and it drew you in. It kept you in. I did not want to go to the bathroom. I was 4 years old, so I had to go to the bathroom. I got lost. there was like 4 or 5 theaters in that or screens in that theater, and they were all showing Star Wars. And I went to the bathroom at 4 years. This is 4 years old, man. So I went to the bathroom by myself in a crowded theater. Either bad parenting or that just sign of the times, I guess.
I took it more as a sign of the times.
Yeah. Then I come back and I got lost. I went in the wrong Star Wars and I was looking for my mom and I couldn't find her. I ended up finding the right one eventually, but I think I missed like 10 minutes of the movie.
And the Padawannabe says this movie is slow paced now because of itself. The cantina scene is literally nor overload. So many never before seen things. This changed the entire game. Just throughout the old rule book. Yeah, it did. It changed the rules.
Yep.
And
I found the link. Ignore that.
That's all right. Welcome, Phil. How you doing, brother?
How's it going?
Going well.
Star Wars today, huh? Star Wars.
Yes.
Real Star Wars brings a tear to my eye.
Yes. Well, what are your first memories of the original Star Wars, Phil?
I was a young kid back in '77. I was 5 and a half when the movie came out. And I remember my dad taking me and my brother to the big theaters. Was impossible to get in, so it was a small two. It had two theaters. I mean, I guess two.
Two screens.
And I remember it was a 9 o'clock showing. I've been to movie theaters before. My dad took me a couple times. I got to see the last time when they had it in the movies, Song of the South.
Mhm.
I saw a lot of Disney's in the movie theaters. Been to. I can remember going to a drive-in theater even. But Star Wars, this is before, the theaters didn't have stereo and everything. It was mono, but Star Wars was mind blowing. Star Wars was awesome. Uh, I can remember as a kid, people were talking that movie theaters were going to be dying out because even though you had Jaws and other movies that were popular at the time, it was going to, cable was coming out, and the movies seemed to like they didn't stay long in the theaters. They were going straight to like your HBO. But Star Wars not only I think saved the movie industry, but saved movie theaters as a whole. Didn't Fortunately didn't do much for the drive-ins. They were, within a couple years where I live at, they died out.
Yeah.
So
Rightly so. Well, I say rightly so, but I mean, back then there wasn't air conditioning. Obviously you're outside with mosquitoes. I've spent a few hours at a drive-in theater, and trust me, the experience is not everything it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, people have to remember sometimes when you got a car, even if it was brand new, it wasn't guaranteed to have air conditioning in the car. You were
Nope.
lucky if it you had a fan.
Yeah.
Radio, you were guaranteed to get AM, but it wasn't guaranteed you were going to get FM. And again, this is even if you had a brand new car. So, but when you're at the drive-in, you got to have the little, I call it speaker box on your car in your window. And again, it wasn't stereo; it was mono.
Yep.
I guarantee you, a lot of people probably don't even know what that is. But yeah,
Mosquitoes.
I wasn't really a fan of the drive-in, especially for something like Star Wars.
Yeah, and not to mention if you're in the back seat, you know how hard it is to see the screen.
Oh, God bless.
And we were kids; we were in the back seat.
There you go.
If it was raining and stuff. If not, then we were on top of the hood.
But we were grateful because the cars were like a boat, and there was enough room in the back seat that if you had two kids and they fell asleep, there was plenty of room.
Yeah.
So, but Star Wars, I will tell you when it comes, I've seen the original 3 in the movie theaters. I saw when they released the special edition of them in the movie theaters. I saw the prequels in the movie theaters. And sadly, I saw the first 2 of the sequel trilogy. I have never seen and still have not seen The Rise of Palpatine, and I never will. That is the only Star Wars movie I have never seen in the theater or on TV. So, for me, as an original trilogy person, I guess you can say I never had a problem with the prequels. But then again, people have to understand when the prequels came out, there were still a lot of people thinking, "Oh, this is going to be more Luke Skywalker and the crew," not realizing it was about Anakin. Like if it was set in today's society, you would know what it was about even before the movie's released. But back then, in the late 90s, that wasn't the case. Even though you had news, pretty much your news was still either coming out of a magazine, Entertainment Tonight, but it's still, there's people that still missed it and they gone into the theaters and there's no Luke Skywalker. So with the prequels, I think that was one of the things they ran into trouble with, which isn't their fault, one way or the other. But right now, Disney's breaking my heart. I don't have any hopes for Obi-Wan. I don't see any point of why we're doing this. To me, this is nothing more than a cash grab. But I really do not understand why we need to have this show. It was perfectly fine as is. You went from Revenge of the Sith to New Hope, and it was perfect. There's nothing that needs to be changed in that. I don't want to see a depressed Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan wasn't depressed in Revenge of the Sith after everything that went down with him and Anakin. He wasn't depressed in the Rebels when Ezra, 5 years after, goes to Tatooine. There was no depression. That's the Obi-Wan we still love and everything. So I don't see where 10 years later, 5 years after Ezra goes there, all of a sudden Obi-Wan's depressed. I don't get it. I still don't get it.
Tearing down the character. They have to tear him down to make the woman look good. That's just it.
I look. I know it's old fashioned. We had strong women characters. Is not nothing new.
No.
I don't need to
Leia was a strong woman.
Yeah. I mean, but
great character.
When you Conan, the girl, the original Conan, the first girl, the blonde, she was a strong character.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, if they would have took even Arnold Schwarzenegger out for some reason and just left her in there, that still would have been a good movie. I still would have watched it. Might have been a version of Red Sonja, but it's still a good movie.
Just called it Valeria and been done with it.
Yeah, I do not see today's society. Maybe it's a major disconnect, but I can say, and you guys can probably say, the disconnect between this generation from 2000 on, I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. There was maybe a small disconnect with the parents that grew up in the 60s, but I had an excellent relationship with my grandparents. There was a connection there. And I have a funny feeling, and I feel this way. Grandparents and grandchildren get along better than actual parents. So I understand there could be a little disconnect there, but this is different. This generation right now, it is let's tear everything down. If we don't understand it, let's get rid of it. And if we don't like it, let's do a change. And this has been going on since I say the mid 2000s. I'm original Battlestar Galactica fan.
Yep.
I didn't mind a remake, but to me, that's not the story. I would have been happy if they used the story from the original Battlestar Galactica and, the mannerisms they had. To me, they try to modernize that to today's society, and I didn't like that. It seems like today everything's a remake, rehash, or let's put politics in it. And movies shouldn't be about what's going on in today's world. It's supposed to take you out of what's going in today's world.
So, it could be an allegory, but you don't want to put everything from today into the story. And you had mentioned Battlestar Galactica, Phil, and that was a direct inspiration from Star Wars.
There was a jealousy there because George Lucas thought everybody was ripping him off at the time. But if you looked at, I'm a big Star Blazers, and Star Blazers is a lot older than Star Wars. If you watch the original first season of Star Blazers and the second season, you can see Mr. Lucas took a lot from there. And what happened was he actually put a lawsuit in against Battlestar Galactica, and he eventually took it away. But supposedly, if I remember correctly, the Japanese creators of Star Blazers actually they were going to sue George Lucas if he didn't drop what he was doing against Battlestar Galactica. And I think that did a major play on that. Don't get me wrong, there were some things Battlestar Galactica borrowed from Star Wars, but it wasn't like a complete and utter ripoff, you know. So
No.
everybody borrows from everything. So I mean, even in music, I think I don't know if you guys ever knew who Richie Blackmore is, the guitarist from Deep Purple. He said every musician steals from somebody else.
Yeah,
So
it's influences. It's not.
Yep.
I don't consider it stealing. I consider it you picked up influences from
Right.
others and to shape what you do that is different from
True.
that. You make it your own, and that's exactly what Battlestar Galactica was. Yes, they picked up influences from Star Wars, surely, but the story arc, the characters, they were all different. It was
Totally
a
different.
complete different thing.
Battlestar Galactica is mankind being hunted by machines, you know, and that had a lot of play on people's thought at the time. As we're getting more modern, we're depending more on machines. Well, they knew then in 1977 what we're experiencing now in 2022.
Yeah.
Some of these people that were alive then would have been rolling, will be literally freaking out. I mean, think about it.
No,
We
they couldn't
have
fathom.
cell phones equivalent to what looks like in Star Trek communicators. You know,
We've surpassed that. We got to that point with like 90s clamshell phones, and then we've gone way past it.
I know people that were alive back then, and even in the 80s. If you were to, if they could see an ATM spitting out money like that, they would freak out. The only time you got money out was when you went into the bank and filled out a withdrawal slip.
Yep.
So I mean, when it comes to Star Wars and the people that watch Star Wars compared to people in Star Wars now, there's a lot of things they don't understand from the original that we know. Okay, they didn't go through the dark times between 1983 up until 1991 when the first Timothy Zahn book came out. There was nothing. We had nothing. What we had was our mind, comic books, physical board games, and I wouldn't even say, I don't even think back then I can remember even a video game for Star Wars at the time. So we had nothing. We had nothing. That was a long time. Today, you know, they're spitting out TV shows left and right. We didn't have that. We didn't have none of that. You know,
it's sad that we have the ability to spit out Star Wars TV shows and movies, but we lack the ability to make them good.
The sad thing is, if even you hear today, there's still, even today, you can go across YouTube and you get the news from Disney. They're still putting down the fans.
Yeah.
And you never would have experienced that with George Lucas during the 70s and the 80s. You know, you do that to your fans or your fandom, that's a death wish. That's a death wish. And I don't think people today realize how much power fans have. And I'll use this example. When Coca-Cola tried to push New Coke, people said no. Absolutely not. No, I can remember in the stores, no one buying it. Anything Coke products. They actually were, Coke people were actually buying either Pepsi or RC or no name brand. Up until Coke finally realized we're making a mistake, we're losing money, and they gave us New Coke. If the fandom were to do that, and I know a lot of people say, oh, it's impossible. You can't not buy something from Disney. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. If you want to prove a point and you want to hit them, you hit them in the pocket. And I feel if Obi-Wan goes to trash, the only hope that they have is the fans saying, We refuse to do this anymore. We're not giving you no money, nothing. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Or you're going to have people that, and I know there's a lot out there that saying, well, I'm going to pick and choose. I don't do the pick and choose. I don't see how you're going to pick and choose. For me, you already seen what they did to Luke. You already seen what they did to Lando. You already seen what they did to Han. You already seen what they did to Wedge. That really upset me out of all of them after Luke. Wedge, supposed to be the best X-Wing pilot after Luke. And in the whole galaxy, they couldn't put him in an X-Wing. They made it a turret gunner in the Millennium Falcon. That's the only scene I've seen from The Rise of Palpatine. And that was enough to say I don't want to watch that movie. So...
Yeah, because you would want a veteran like Wedge in that X-Wing.
Of course, that's common sense. He didn't lose the ability to fly. I know that. I mean, you can take even using like real life example. You can take a pilot from out of a fighter jet, and maybe a modern fighter jet or newer model, he might have a little bit of a learning curve to do. But if he's going back in the same model of the same fighter jet, it'll be like changing underwear. No problem. There ain't no big deal. You'll be in it, no problem. But I just feel Disney had it out for the Lucas creation. And I really would have preferred them if they didn't want to let George Lucas finish his saga. They just went and created their own. Go 500 years in the future, create your own new characters, do your own thing, sink or swim on that. But, to me, I felt bad for George Lucas that they didn't let him finish it out. But, woulda, coulda, shoulda, I guess,
Well, he even gave Iger an outline for the next 3 movies, how they should
understand
go.
he had treatments for the next 3 movies, and Bob Iger took it, but he pretty much flushed it down the toilet. So, but it's different for me and probably for you guys. When Star Wars came out, and with every episode up to the prequels, there was big hoopla. There were games that come out. You went into a Toys R Us. 3 of the aisles were nothing but Star Wars, and the front of the store. KB Toy Store was small, and yes, it was in the mall, but they at least had one complete aisle, nothing but Star Wars. The bookstores in the mall had right in the front new Star Wars books for the new movies. And that's not counting like at the time. I guess you can call. They had like what do you call it? The clothing store. They call them Hot Topic, I guess. They would have clothing for the Star Wars. When the new sequel trilogies came out, did you see any of that? I didn't see any of that.
No.
I saw toys that did not sell at the Walmart, and they sent them over to the dollar store, and even the dollar store couldn't sell them. That tells me how far Star Wars has fallen. Have you seen any video game besides this Lego, which I'm not into? Any video games made for any of the sequel trilogy? No. Nothing. There's nothing. Yeah, I don't know what Disney's doing or what I will say this. A person that makes fandom movies on YouTube, if you would have gave them that kind of money to make a movie, could probably do a series, a trilogy, and make a good Star Wars better than what Disney can. So,
Well, they can.
Yeah. I've seen 2 on YouTube. One is called it's Old Republic. It's called Mission, and it has Darth Raven on there. And this guy plays Darth Raven to the T. If you ever want to see a fan-made show, it's not that long. I think it's like maybe 30 minutes. Go watch it. Just watch it. And you can bang your head and say, if they can do that, Disney should have no problems doing better than what they're doing. I mean, I think they won a reward back in 2015 when it was released for one of the best fandom movies made. So that's how bad Star Wars has gotten, that you have to go to a fandom to get good Star Wars. So, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling. I do this
Bill.
because I'm hurt, you know? I'm at the point, like, I was already, I don't know if anybody ever told you, Pacific, I burned my Star Wars memorabilia. I burned it after Boba Fett. Took it
No,
all.
I didn't know that, brother.
Oh, yeah. I took them all, went out to I had an old grill that was going to throw it away, opened it up, threw everything in there, and watched it go up. I'm talking, I had Star Wars memorabilia, the cards from back in 1977.
Mhm.
A lot of the 25th anniversary with the coin, it was hard for me to throw the Raven in there, but I threw it in there. That's probably about $200 alone. Utapau Black Trooper with the black coin. Yeah, I burned a lot of merchandise that day.
Man, should have just sold it. Got some of your like life back.
You know what?
I know it's cathartic, but I mean,
Yeah, you know what? I'll use the Disney term that they kept throwing it out. You got to forget about the past. Burn it if you have to. Well, guess what, Disney? I burned it.
You burned it because you were disgusted by what you saw.
Even like I said, especially with Boba Fett, and now the lame excuse is John Favreau is saying there's a reason. I don't even want to hear the reason, but there's a reason why Boba Fett's soft. Boba Fett will never be soft. A person never literally changes. A person, yeah, they might attempt to change, but they literally are the same people. You are who you are, period. You are what makes you, you know. Boba Fett is a bounty hunter. He's a killer. He's Josie Wales. That's who he's really. If you want to model Boba Fett, he's Josie Wales.
Yeah, the outlaw Josie Wales.
Yep, and that's it. I don't want to see Boba Fett become a good guy. Boba Fett is for Boba Fett. Now, it doesn't mean he can't do good deeds, but he's also capable of being dark. So, and then I hear, I'm never going to mention the person, but he has a YouTube channel, and he said the person had a friend, a good friend of childhood, and he said he didn't want to go see The Force Awakens because Finn's black and he's a stormtrooper. I can't say that because you know what? There are stormtroopers you never know who they are under the mask and everything.
No, you don't know if they're human or alien or what have you.
And it doesn't matter. But what he fails to realize, we had Lando. Excuse me, Lando was happened to be black. I didn't care if he was black, but he was black, and he was who the character was. He was Mr. Colt 45, Billy D. Williams, ladies' man, a player. My Lando, just like Billy D said, his character doesn't mess with robots. He isn't pansexual or dissexual. He is a pure ladies' man. End of story. And that's my Lando.
I mean, look at his reaction when he sees Leia at Cloud City.
First thing he does is try to make a move on her. The first thing he does, and think about it. People think about today's society saying we need diversity and inclusion. Lando was back in 1980. 1980. And I never heard anybody complain about Lando. I never heard that he tried to make a pass at a white lady. Didn't hear that he kissed her hand. Nobody cared.
I was 7, 8, 9. I was 10 when Empire came out. Although it wasn't my favorite at the time, it grew on me later. But when I watched that, literally, I didn't think anything but, this dude's coming on to Han's chick. What's going on?
Yep.
That's what
know?
I think everybody thinks.
It's like, hope
I
she ain't
think-
gonna
and
go
then-
falling for this.
I think they're
And then you
trying to
find out
today.
that Han
Go
and
ahead,
Lando
sorry.
have a history together.
Yep. I don't like the history they gave him in Han Solo. That's the thing. I think there was a better history in the EU than what we got in the movie Han Solo. And I'm sorry, I don't blame none of the actors in that. I don't even blame Ron Howard because he was handed a movie that needed to be 90% reshot. And I don't buy the excuse that Kathleen Kennedy's coming out with, oh, we didn't use deepfake. It had nothing to do with the actor that played Han Solo. It had nothing to do with what he looked like. It had everything to do, first of all, Ron Howard should have been given, here's the movie, take a couple months, write something good, and take your time filling it. When he has to step in for another director and then take that movie and in a rush has to reshoot, think about it, 90%. Normally in a movie, you might have maybe 10% max of reshoots because the cost is so much to do reshoots. To do 90%, that's practically a second movie. Ron Howard was put in a bad position, a bad spot. If I was him, I would have said, you know what, give me another type of Star Wars, but I can't do this because this is impossible to fix. Even if he could fix it and make it good, you only got so much time to do it, you know, and they put him in a bad spot. So I don't blame anybody. If I blame anybody, that's purely Kathleen Kennedy's fault. She has an issue with directors. And I'm sorry. Look, I know she has a history with Steven Spielberg, but to me, she wasn't all that important anyway. The guy that should have been the head of Lucasfilms was the guy that worked with George, Rick McCallum. That guy that did all the movies. He should have been. Not I know a lot of people say Filoni, but I'm not a fan of Filoni. Because let me say this, during the time of the sequel trilogy, he was there and he was saying, this is good, this is good. They even got him, if people don't believe me, there's a convention. They had him recorded at it was some type of women's group thing. And he was talking about, we need to put women into this, into that. Look, you want to make a women's only movie, be my guest. I guarantee it's not going to work, especially in sci-fi. I'm sorry. Sci-fi mainly is, I'm not saying women, don't like it, but sci-fi, especially Star Wars, is male soap opera. That's what it is. Yeah. Women used to have their soap operas, Days of Our Lives, etc., etc.
Guiding Light and As the World Turns. I only know those shows because my mom would watch them.
Yeah, you were forced to watch it because at the time, back in the day, we only had one TV at the time. And if your parents wanted to watch something, you either watched it or you go play with toys. So, yeah. Like I said, I know I sound like an old fart, but
no, Phil, I understand where you're coming from, brother, and that's what tonight's all about. We can celebrate Star Wars, but we can also discuss what aggravates us about the current product of Star Wars. And at this time, I want to say hello to my brother from another mother, Common Sense America, also known as the Smoking Patriot.
What's going on?
Hey, old man.
Not much, brother.
Hey,
we are discussing Star Wars.
Oh, Star Wars.
Yes, the original Star Wars. It is the 45th anniversary, after all. This is the official Star Wars Day.
Yep,
I have a question for everybody. Has anybody ever seen, and I don't want to be a downer because I know people have said, people have hope in Ewan McGregor will protect his character and everything.
No.
But has anybody heard what he said when he was promoting the the movie when he was in DC. What's it called?
Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey. When he was playing Black Mask. Did you ever hear what he said during that interview?
No, I haven't.
I heard the interview once, but honestly, it was quickly forgettable because Birds of Prey seemed like ages ago.
He was. I have never heard Ewan McGregor going political, but in that interview, he brought up male I guess the big thing of male I can't even say it. Chauvinism or whatever you want to call
chauvinism.
it. Male chauvinism. He was promoting we need strong female characters. He was promoting like everything was woke, and you never would think about that. I caution everybody before you put your hopes in people, research and listen what they say. If that was his feelings then, it wouldn't surprise me in Star Wars now with Obi-Wan.
It still wouldn't matter if he had said that or not. Anybody who's working for Lucasfilm and Disney is a puppet. They will do whatever Kathleen Kennedy wants or Kevin Feige wants. It doesn't matter what their views are or what they said in the past. Even if they were like the rah America gun in one hand and a Bible in the other, if they were in a Star Wars or a Marvel show or movie, it would still be just as crap and woke as it is today. They would have zero say.
I would agree, and I was saying that even back when people were talking about with Filoni and Favreau, and I would say, and I know it would upset some people, 4 minutes of Luke Skywalker in the last episode of Mandalorian season 2 does not undo everything that has happened beforehand. Doesn't undo it. And you kept hearing we're going to get better Star Wars. They turned the page. Then you get the Book of Boba Fett, and you're sitting right now. I have yet to hear somebody that's I'm 100% positive this is going to be great. So I'm of the notion you already have a history of destroying original trilogy characters. And these are the last two that we have. Anakin, Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. Not counting C-3PO and the droids, but these are the last two. And if they destroy these two, if this bombs until Disney gets rid of Star Wars, you can put Star Wars on Alderaan after it blows up. It's done. And that might hurt a lot of people, and that might say they don't want to hear that. But sometimes you have to be realistic, and sometimes you got to be prepared. When you're not prepared for something, that's when things happen. So,
no, I agree. Although except for me, it would be a gun in one hand and a bud in the other, or a cigar in the other. If you ever caught me on a Star Wars set, Mike knows exactly the clip that would be going in my head when I'm just standing there. Mike knows exactly because we did. I said this exact same thing on Sunday. And the clip is from Spaceballs when Darth Helmet. He's like, "I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes."
Oh, hey, come on, dude. Come on, I'm getting that clip ready. And first,
I didn't know if you were getting it ready or not.
First, before I get it ready, I do want to welcome Felix Quiros, Star Wars Theology. Welcome, my brother.
Thank you. How are you? How are you guys, gentlemen? How are you doing today?
How's it going? Doing good.
Doing
now,
good.
I'm fine.
Before I play that clip, I do have a question for both of you. Yes. How old were you when you first saw the original Star Wars?
Oh, jeez. Let me think. 5. I was 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah. How about you, Felix?
I think it was 6, 7. I remember. Yeah, that's when I saw the New Hope, because I think that's kind of like around the time Return of the Jedi was releasing. So
Mhm.
yeah,
And did you see it on TV or did you rent it from the video store?
rented on the video store VHS. Uh, yeah, I used to have those. I used to have all those VHSs, and yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it was a special.
Mhm.
Star Wars has been a special for me since a little kid. And actually, today I was at work, and a couple days ago I was, at work. You have this IMs, there's this internal IMs, and this
Mhm.
guy knows I'm a Star Wars fan, right? So he tells me, unfortunately, his mom passed away, right? And they're going into the house, and he has his oldest brother. They found some boxes with Star Wars stuff, and
Mhm.
he tells me, "Hey, do you want everything?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Like the whole stuff?" And then I go to his car today, and guess what he gave me?
What did he give you?
I don't know. He doesn't know what it. He gave me a Millennium Falcon
No way.
in the
That is
box.
awesome.
You lucky SOB.
That
I
is
mean,
I'm not. I'm like, am I telling that? Are you?
Don't give it to Phil McCracken.
I'm like, obviously, it was
throw it out the window,
used.
put it on fire.
It was used, but it was not just that. There's an X-wing. The X-wing was comic books. There was some, like, obviously some of this stuff has been loved, right? But
Mhm.
it's still on the boxes. Some stuff is missing, but anyways, it's like from the 70s. I'm like, wow, he kept the boxes. I'm like, wow, this is very rare, very very rare. I'm like, wow. I
Boxes
got
are as much worth as the actual product that's inside the box when it comes to Star Wars collecting. Yeah, I mean, I remember I had before the Great Flyer. My dad had gotten me for Christmas. My brother got an X-wing. I got the Darth Vader fighter, and on the Darth Vader fighter, you had two buttons on the side, and the shield wings would fly off. And I remember that as a kid. Me and my brother were playing that nonstop. I had the box and everything, and yeah, that went up in the great fire.
Yeah.
You hurt me, Phil. You really hurt me.
Phil, man.
Like I
I
said,
know where you're coming from, but man, some of that stuff, man.
You're doing damage to my soul.
I'm just gonna say,
I've got the perfect clip.
Look,
Let me grab
I'm
the
only
perfect.
doing what today's society is doing. Let's erase everything. Let's change everything. So, and then again, Disney said you got to change the past, burn it if you have to.
You don't have to listen to them. They're wrong. They're stupid.
But Phil, hearing you burn some of this classic stuff, it's just giving all of us
emotional damage.
Hey, that's what I had. But
That's
there's one thing that was saved, and that was a Monopoly, never been opened, still sealed. When the special editions came out with pewter Star Wars figures inside, that survived the fire. So that's the only thing I have of Star Wars that's left. Comic books went into the fire.
Into the fire.
No.
What do you mean?
Into the fire.
What do you mean?
Burned it all.
Burn it all.
Burn it. After the I think it was the 6th episode of Boba Fett, I had enough.
What?
I had enough. So anything I had collected, that belonged to me. There were some things that were my children's, and I told them they can they keep it and didn't touch it. But what belonged to me since 1977 up until
oh god.
I would tell you this: it came close. My holy grail of Star Wars collection. I wanted the Baron Fell TIE Interceptor, and I was that very same night was supposed to bid on the final bid for it. It was going. I was going to put $400 towards it, but I was so pissed off about the Book of Boba Fett, and after that episode, I was like, no. No,
Oh no.
not touching it. Not touching it. Nope.
Oh,
I mean, like,
you,
I don't
you
support
could have
new
donated
Star
to
Wars,
Goodwill.
but
Oh,
donate it to
man.
Goodwill or something. I mean, because
you want to hear something like here's the good thing. I used to be a Kiss fan up until 2000, and I didn't burn it, but I did give it away. Only thing I kept was the CDs. I gave my daughter my whole record collection, and that record collection had picture discs, 45s, everything. I was so tempted to do the same to that, but I didn't. But Star Wars pushed me over the edge.
Oh no.
Pushed me over the edge. Comic
Oh.
books, like I said, I collected the comic books. Baron Teague, but that's how old they were. Baron Teague's in it. I had some from the 90s, Dark Horse. Yeah.
No.
I couldn't deal with it, man. I couldn't deal with it. I have
Oh
memories.
man.
I
Yeah.
have memories. The memories they can never take away. I have the DVDs. I have the original and the special edition. I have
Oh.
the prequels. I have the 2 original Clone Wars, the one made by the Samurai Jack people. I had that, and I still have them. That's enough for me.
Okay.
But like I said, if Obi-Wan turns to trash, I will never deal with anything Star Wars again. I will never deal with anything Star Wars again. And their history it's going to turn to trash. It's just how they are,
So,
I mean,
moral of the story is never let
Oh.
Phil McCracken near your collection.
I
mean,
the good news is there's nothing left to burn. So the only thing I can do right now is I did recently repurchase Disney Plus, but as soon as I'm going to judge it by the 3rd episode. I know we're getting 2 this Friday, but by the 3rd episode, yeah.
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 Coach has got me on watch because he thinks I might physically harm myself. That's not going to get that bad, but I will say my blood pressure will be up. So
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna watch the first 2 episodes with Paul, but I'm not gonna burn anything. And I'm gonna tell you this, Phil: if you get anywhere near my collection and you say you want to burn it, I got a response for you.
How about no?
I will tell you this. If you think I'm emotional, I'm around Philadelphia people. Yeah, they're crazy. I can remember when the Phillies lost to the Blue Jays, the home run.
Yeah.
I know
Mitch
people
Williams,
that were
former
burning their
Cubs closer.
Philadelphia Philly outfits and memorabilia outside.
Yeah, that was probably all new stuff.
But
what you would have should have done was gone down to Walmart, bought you a few Ray Palpatine action figures, and then burnt those, and then sold what you had to somebody who kind of wanted it, and made some money.
I could have got some of my money back from some of that merchandise, and I could have gave more. I could have said, "Here, call my kids, go ahead and take it." But
there you go.
I didn't touch their stuff because I held on to some of the stuff. Like my daughter, she had this Darth Maul blanket, and like I said, I even said, "No, I'm not going to touch it." I put all the kids' stuff that was theirs away, sealed it up, and said, "That's it." But my stuff. And I know it's heartbreaking for Star Wars fans and collectibles, but I will tell you this, though. Even if this Obi-Wan is magnificent and it wins me back to Star Wars, I will not buy any merchandise. No merchandise from Disney Star Wars. None. Absolutely none.
Well,
they might get me back to watch some of their shows and their movies if it's good, but they wouldn't win me all the way back.
Well, since you burned all your collection, I want to hear from everyone else what they have in their collection.
All right. Let me get a couple of things I just got that probably you guys will like.
Okay.
A lot of my stuff's in boxes, but I'm just gonna kind of.
You don't have to show it, dude. You don't want to show it. You don't.
Yeah. Well, I gotta try and find it all. But I mean, Phil, I I get the sentiment. Trust me. Like whenever I talk about Star Wars, I don't talk about any of the new stuff. I don't. I talk about everything that happened pre Disney acquiring it. Like every time I've done a live stream on Star Wars, like I mean, if you go to my YouTube channel, I've done live streams about the Battle of Hoth, about multiple Star Wars stuff that is from the original or the prequels. Because the way I look at it is Star Wars is dead until it leaves Disney. Because once it leaves Disney and gets into some better hands, I think Star Wars could be revitalized. But unfortunately, it's like I've said this on Sunday Pop Talk. It's about the message. It's not about story. It's not about good character development. It's not about anything other than the message, the agenda that they want to push. And that's the thing, is that Star Wars used to be something where you'd watch it and your eyes would light up. You'd get that adrenaline rush. Your emotions would start kicking in. And in Star Wars, we haven't gotten that for a long, long time. And they've given us member berries. They've given us little member berries, but Star Wars is not what it used to be. Now it could, but it needs a drought period. It needs no Star Wars for like 5 years as a palate cleanser, and then you get good, proper leadership with new vision, new ideas.
It needs to be sold to Elon Musk.
Yeah.
No.
I will say this: out of all the franchises of sci-fi, Stargate, we don't know what's going on there. Battlestar Galactica, we don't know what's going on there. But as far as like Doctor Who, that's dead. Doctor Who is pretty much, I don't think it's ever going to be able to come back. Star Trek, new Star Trek, I think that's dead. But Star Wars is the only one I could say, if they can turn a corner, it can not only survive but thrive. But if they mess this up with Obi-Wan, I think it's on a downward spiral that I don't think it can come out of. So, and I don't want to break anybody's feelings.
I'm surprised Obi-Wan is your line to draw, to be honest with you. Of all the stuff that they've brought out so far and everything that they said, everything that they've done, there's zero chance Obi-Wan's going to be the shining star in the Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah.
It just isn't.
Yeah, I watched a video. It's about 35 minutes long, and everyone who's a Star Wars fan who has seen any of the new movies, okay, I challenge you to watch this. The Templin Institute, their YouTube channel, they did because they're like the whole First Order, New Republic war that was supposed to be in all 3 movies, but really didn't feel like really anything at all. They reimagined it into like a 6 to 7 year long actual galactic span conflict. And the story that they present as a possible alternative had me on the edge of my seat. In 35 minutes, they covered basically the events of all 3 movies, and all 3 of those movies of the sequels, and they did it in a way that was riveting, that does all the characters that we know and love good honor, but introduces the new ones in a way that doesn't negate them in terms of some of the unique qualities that they can bring, but it doesn't like Rey is not mentioned a whole lot. Finn is actually given what a lot of fans wanted, where he basically kind of is like in intelligence and going behind enemy lines to cause confusion and to rally for the former stormtroopers who aren't 100% on board with the First Order, and how Poe is such an excellent pilot in his heroic efforts. They create such a story.
You wouldn't happen to watch the video by Channel Awesome, because that sounds like the one I watched.
No. It was by the Templin Institute. It was their video I watched. Like I said, about 35-ish minutes. and I watched it Saturday or Sunday, and it was so good. They did more for Star Wars to be like there is hope than I have gotten since Disney acquired it. In a 35-minute video, they gave me more Star Wars than I could have gotten out of all 3 movies. It's there. You have the formula.
But they refuse to use it.
Yep.
That's
Pacific, I just
unfortunate
want to
too.
say I have a funny feeling Felix went and got a fire extinguisher, thinking I might set everything on fire. I'm not an arsonist. I'm not an arsonist.
That's all right.
So-
Speaking of Felix, let's see what you got, brother.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
gonna show you a couple of things before because I need to leave soon. But I'm gonna show you the 2 things that I got in the ICC convention.
Okay,
So
let
I
me
was
highlight
looking.
you.
Yeah, so I was looking for this for a long time. It's
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon. I found it in the ICC. I was looking for him. Yeah, I'm a sucker for Jedi. So, yeah, Qui-Gon is very important. Another one that I got that I was looking and I was really excited about it was this.
Oh, that is
Oh,
nice.
nice.
The Carbonite. Yeah,
Han and
this is,
Carbonite.
yeah, this is yeah, it's and look, I don't know if you can see from here, but it has the details on the side.
Mhm.
You know, yeah, I'm probably from here. I don't know.
Does it
See?
light up?
Well, he's got to
I don't
open
know.
the box and see if it
I wanted
actually
to open.
floats.
I wanted to open it. I can Google it and figure out. But
It'd be
it has-
awesome if it had the little green LEDs on the side that go up and
but-
down.
But this is the 6-inch, size. So that's why, because I'm collecting that size now. Like that's kind of like Black Series type. So then I needed to get a Tron. I need to get Tron. I haven't, I'm reading the novels and I'm falling in love with this character. He's very smart. So, and the novels they do a lot of good, very very good justice. Obviously,
Which novels are you reading, Felix?
Obviously,
EU?
I read the EU ones, the Heir to the Empire trilogy. But the new books, they go into very deep into his mindset as a military leader. So I love the new novels in terms of, they go how, for example, every time he talks to somebody, he is reading their minds and reading all the actions, how they talk, what they like to do, like the arts. It's kind of like an extension of the EU in terms of like what Tron was. So I like that. I have this guy, Plo Koon.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Plo Koon,
very
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, Plo Koon. Count Dooku.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah,
Is
Count
that
Dooku.
the one where his head comes off?
I don't know. Yeah, it comes up.
Up in action.
Push a button on the back and it just pops off.
Kiss Fisto. Yeah, he's he doesn't have a lot of showtime, but in the prequels, but in the Clone Wars, you have him. So I like him.
He comes with an extra head with the smile.
Yeah. For the EU fans, Darth
Raven.
Oh,
Darth
Darth Raven.
His redemption
I had
story.
the one with the 25th anniversary that come with the coin.
Oh, nice.
I did have it until the fire.
Oh,
come on, Phil.
You're bringing us down, Phil. Come on.
You're killing me, Phil.
I had
man,
the black Utapau trooper with the black coin. I had the Shadow Trooper with the black coin.
Yeah.
I had Darth Malik. I had Jodo Cast. I had Han Solo. I had Wedge
and the
Antilles.
hate for Boba Fett.
Phil, do you burn all that? Do you burn all that?
I burned it all.
Oh,
in boxes, not open. Some of them from this 1977 were open, but
These
my
was
later
supposed to
part
be
of
a
it,
happy day.
I had Thrawn from back in 1991. It was in a black with green backfield of it. One of the first releases of Thrawn, he had the little, what do they call it, the Uzori that used to be able to push the force away so you couldn't detect the force when he's around.
Stop.
Yeah.
I promised I wouldn't cry on stream.
Oh, do you mean?
Jeez, Phil.
Phil. Oh man.
Now hold on.
Or
I just want to
Theology,
say
I
one
wanted to
thing. I
ask
just
you
want to
about
say
that
one thing.
Qui-Gon figure real quick.
If the Cubs were to leave Chicago and they were to go to like Seattle, you would have burned all your Cub fan memorabilia. I guarantee it.
I've spent too much money on my Cub memorabilia to just burn it.
Yeah. So to bring us happy again, so original trilogy, Stormtrooper, OG. So yeah, the Stormtrooper. Let me see. I have two more. I have more,
Okay.
but I just gonna stop with two more. Yeah. After I need to get Cat Bane.
How's that figure look? Are you more pleased with that figure than he was in? He looks really much better.
Look, let me see. Can you see it there?
Yeah, that looks that to me is a better live rendition than what we had. That looks really good.
The only thing I don't like about that
his
figure
old
is the
hat.
hat.
It's
I
his
don't
old
like
hat,
this gold hat.
You don't like the hat?
No, I
his hat
do.
should
It's
be
his
black,
old
not
one.
gold. That's the only thing. Or brown. It's not gold. See, on yours, it's gold. From what I see,
That's probably just the lighting
light.
through the.
That's the lighting. My bad.
Let me see. It's brown.
It's brown.
But
That's
I was
cool,
just saying that's his old hat because he had a bigger hat, and then during the Clone Wars, he loses the hat and he ends up with a little bit smaller one.
Yeah, and that's the weapons there. And
How long ago did you pick these up? I'm just curious. That Cad
been-
Bane, I would love to get one of those now. But that Qui-Gon, because that Qui-Gon looks really good.
Qui-Gon, I got it
And
like
I have a lot of Episode 1 figures, but that Qui-Gon looks really
yeah, I got it on the ICC on one of the shops, so it was.
you don't know if it's like a hard to find expensive piece or anything now?
No, I haven't checked it out. Let me see.
Okay. I'll have to look online and see what the prices are for it because that was.
It says 2020. It was made in 2021.
Oh, it's fairly new, so it shouldn't be too bad. I'll look it up.
Yeah, and the last one for that because I have here. Let me see if I can show this. Yeah, I want it.
Oh yeah, I want that one too. I love that book style case they have is so awesome.
Yeah,
I was watching a video from MegaCon in Orlando over this weekend, and the guy that was doing the video bought that same figure.
I have that book, that Darth Maul book. I just love those covers, man.
Yeah, that's one of the novels, right?
Yeah.
I haven't read that one. I need to get it's just that I'm now in the list. I did Ahsoka, and I did obviously. I wanted to read Master and Apprentice before
you know what? Series. There is Master and Apprentice is Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, right?
It's Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. It's really good. It stays to the movie, so they don't go wild on the new stuff. So they kept. It's a really good book. I was surprised because it was not EU. It was from the new canon, but they kept it, to what it should be. They didn't went through weird stuff. So
I will say this: the EU books,
the
artistry work on that beats the new Disney books.
Yeah,
it puts them to shame.
Well, that was.
I do, man. I did not burn my books. I still have my Star Wars books.
Yeah.
So EU, but they're EU.
From the new canon that I'm sticking to, like everything that is like Obi-Wan and Kenobi, everything that's the based on the old stuff. Mm-hmm. And they have done at least on Master and Apprentice. I recommend that one, and also obviously the EU Kenobi, Kenobi novel. So I read that one and the Master and Apprentice, and I'm going to throw on there. But the one I want to read now is Brotherhood. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's the newest one.
And that one is Anakin and Obi-Wan. In between, I think it's episode 2 and 3.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah,
because
let me show you the cover.
Well, okay. I read. I'm probably not going to remember what it's called offhand.
See, is this one?
But I read they had one EU book that I knew of that was between episode 1 and 2, and it was Anakin before he had his lightsaber, but it was on one of their missions, Gosh, I can't remember what it was. I would only suggest reading that one because other than him being super strong in the Force, there's no new or old canon in that book. It would still make sense.
There
You know,
was
and
a
it's
book
just
called Outward Flight.
yeah.
I'm not sure if that is.
Shoot, nope, that's another one. I think that's actually them during the Clone Wars.
Yes, and they were supposed to go with the Outward Flight was a project where they were going to the unknown region, and Anakin and Obi-Wan were supposed to go, and Palpatine made something happen, so they had to leave that project, and they end up going to the unknown region without Obi-Wan and Anakin. But
and I think is that the
Timothy
same
Zahn
book
wrote it,
they
and it was
introduced
very
the
good.
hive mind in for the Jedi?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is the same one I'm thinking of. Now I remember that book, but then there's God, I wish I could remember the name of that book. Darn it! It was about a planet that moved, so it almost was like a precursor to.
I know what you're talking about. I have that book,
Star.
and that planet ends up playing a role when the Yukovan or whatever they call them come into the Star Wars galaxy.
Okay.
Yeah, and that planet ends up helping in some way where they help stop the Bill Kong or whatever they call him. But Anakin was a kid when he got on that planet, and when the planet is in searching, in a sense, for Anakin, not realizing he has died, and one of the Solo children and Leia's children is what brings the planet to, because he could sense, I guess, that was Anakin's grandchild. And
wow, that's really cool.
Yeah,
because that planet did not move like we know the Death Star. Like it moved through the Force, correct?
It would actually, it would travel even further through a warp, but it wasn't really a warp.
Like, but it was not powered by engines like the Death Star.
It could be orbiting a planet, and then it can disappear, and then the next instant be another moon of another planet halfway across the galaxy.
Yeah, wrap your mind around that one, guys.
That was a funny, that he said that to give the stuff to him before you're gonna burn it. But before I go, I know that Phil McCracken, you like the EU. I was very critical. I kind of afraid when I was starting to read stuff that was not from the EU, but I'm sticking to anything that is Jedi like from what I know, right? So Master and Apprentice, I think you will like it. They stick and they develop Qui-Gon Jinn's interaction. It's good there, and I will say you read Ahsoka, right?
Yes,
I actually have Ahsoka. I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Felix, when you were at the convention, they were supposed to be selling a custom-made Ahsoka action figure. Did you get that?
No, actually, I
haven't come across anybody that went there from EBN that actually was able to get that.
They those figures, the ones that were custom made for the ICC. I know I saw a C-3PO. It was $100.
Oh, God bless.
It was $100. The one that they made for the ICC, custom made for for that activity. Everything that was from that table was a figure was $100. Wow. Yeah, I got the Dark Ravens. Oh, let me show you this, and this is the last thing.
Oh, take your time.
This is the fourth last thing.
I got the Dark Ravens lightsaber over there.
What color is it?
I can change it to whatever color I want. That's a good thing about the. Let me see if it turns out. So now it's red because my son, we were using it red on the Jedi class, but you can change the color. So I like it to put it purple. So purple is it, but yeah.
And you're getting a really cool effect off your lighting and the camera right now.
Yeah, yeah, it comes out. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You actually have a little aura all the way around your blade on camera.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It looks so cool.
Oh. It looks awesome, brother.
So this Dark Ravens.
Wait. I got a perfect clip for that. Let me get to
that
it
looks
real
so
quick.
cool. Oh no.
Hold on.
The force is strong in this one.
Well, guys, I need to go because I'm gonna watch
Felix,
it.
before you go, I just wanted to
Right,
say
yeah,
Memorial Day. I know you did service in the military, but happy Memorial Day because you did service.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Felix.
And if you get a chance, fly your American flag this weekend with pride, and everybody should, because remember the people that fought and died for our country and for our rights to be free.
Yeah,
and I thank you, Felix.
You're welcome. Yeah,
Thank you, brother.
And to anybody who has served the same, So, thank you. So yeah, it's important to recognize the people who had done it. So yeah, I know Paul and now his brother. He just came out from basic training. So yeah.
Yep,
Michael. So yeah. So yeah. I need to head out because I'm watching my Celtics. So play the Miami Heat. So I
good luck.
Yeah, let's see what happens in that game. Yeah. Well, take care, guys.
Thank you for coming on, brother. Really appreciate it. Don't be a stranger.
No problem. Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So
you brought out the Raven lightsaber because you knew that's the only item he had that I wouldn't have been able to burn.
Okay, and Phil, next time you hear this, don't listen to him.
The time has come. Execute Order 66.
I went beyond Order 66. I went,
He broke out the match light.
I will tell you that after the burning. And can you imagine what it's like to see melted figures melt into? It was literally a coat of. Only thing I can describe it, plastic-looking wax. That's the only thing I could describe it. So, but yeah, I burned it in I was throwing out a barbecue, and yeah.
That's called dreams of your youth, man.
The only clip I'm missing in response to that is the Wicked Witch of the West going, "I'm melting. Oh, what a world!"
Hey, I still am a fan of The Wizard of Oz.
I am too. And if you guys ever get a chance to see it in the theater, do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Theater, sometimes you used to have mom and pops, and they would do movies that you didn't, had already pre-released. Like back in the time, you always have one time during the year, you might have what they call it, the Tim Curry movie where he played a little transy and it was a musical.
Oh, Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Rocky Picture Show. Everybody would go in there and they had food fights. So
I was so poor I made my own lightsaber.
Very first lightsaber, and Mike, you probably know, you probably heard the story. Very first lightsaber I ever got. So back in the day at MGM Studios, before it was renamed Hollywood Studios at Disney, they had Star Wars days, and this only went on for like 2 weekends, and that was it. And
okay, I'm sorry, an old man, so I need to know, what is that between his mouse and that pen? What is that? what is that?
It's an eraser. Sorry.
That is an eraser?
Yes, it's a dough kneading eraser.
Okay. So it's like a gotcha.
Yeah.
It's geode.
I got you. I couldn't quite, my mind couldn't quite comprehend what that was.
You gotta knead it to a point.
I know what that is. It's an art eraser.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, I'm old. I do know these things, so I ain't scared. If I don't know it, I'm going to ask.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's always a good thing. What the heck is that? What do you mean? I just asked you, what the heck is that?
Even as a person that has drawn, that putty eraser he has, that's kind of a nerdy thing in the art industry. Like you don't just, that's not something you know about unless you go to an art store. You won't pick that up at Walmart.
Nope. Or these pencils either.
No, yeah.
I was surprised, he didn't have one of them little troll things back in the day when you were in school. You used to put a little troll thing on the eraser.
I had him.
I'm not a 14-year-old girl.
Hey. I had one.
Who put troll?
I had one because it was a popular thing.
Class.
I had one because I think I had a 14-year-old girl put it on my pencil.
Well, that's acceptable, I guess. But you just don't show it to your buddies.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened with me. A girl in the class gave it to me, and I used to like taking the pens on my jacket, swirl it real quick, and the hair would stand up.
Was your pencil glittery, and did you pee sitting down?
No, I was just given many things.
Okay.
I would say that girls naturally back in school, they were always quite willing to give stuff away. And you need paper, you need
even after you get a beer down them.
It was more a girl that would give you a piece of paper or a pen than a guy. A guy would say, "Hey, you haven't got it. Get out of here."
Mm-hmm.
But a girl would be like, "Yeah, here's a piece of paper. Here's a pen."
True story.
I would give you a punch in the shoulder, and the girl that you would talk to would give you something actually kind of cool every once in a while.
Yep. First day in middle school, I didn't have a pencil. First, I can't think it was math class, and I told the teacher I didn't have a pencil, and she's like, "Anybody got a pencil? He can borrow." And first one to jump up was a girl. I got one. So yeah, girls are willing to give you what guys won't.
Yeah.
Usually guys are willing to do something like this when you ask for a pen or a pencil.
Poor Mark Hamill. That swarm of nerds is going to kill him.
Nerds! Get out of there! Mr. Hamill, Mr. Mayor, come on! Who are you? Homer Simpson, Nerdbuster, and I'm getting you out of here.
Nerdbuster.
So, this being the 45th anniversary of the OG, the very first movie, what would y'all say are your top two favorite scenes? Like the two scenes where you're just like, holy crap. Like, what were those two scenes, you'd have to say?
Well, I can name two visually very happy scenes right off the top of my head. When you see the fighter style approach of all the gunships coming onto Geonosis, and you see just everything, just explosions and things going down and chaos everywhere, and POV camera angles and over the shoulder shots and down on the ground, and everything's dusty, and that whole sequence there was just like, he finally did what he wanted to do. He wanted the real feel, and that was the first scene. I love all the stuff in the first movies, but that was the first scene that made me just go, wow. And then the scene in Revenge of the Sith when Obi-Wan and Anakin are flying through all the ships from the beginning, probably pretty much the first cut to when they fly off the edge of that pre-destroyer, and the camera drops off and you see the planet and all the whole battle going on before them, and they just those fighter pilots, those were just so intense and so different from start, because I immediately was like, oh, these are camera shots he doesn't normally use, and I just loved it. Those are put you on the edge of your seat. Shh, be quiet, I'm watching something moments. Nobody talk to me. No, I'm not willing to pause this. You have to wait. I'm gonna watch this scene. give me 2.5 minutes. You know, there's so many other scenes. There's so many scenes that I find just really chin dropping, but those two, I was just so blown away by those two particular scenes. You know, but without, you know, it's like I can't say the lightsaber battle between Ewan and Hayden's not super fantastic. I loved it, but those two scenes, I was, you know, just wow. It just really made me think George finally got to do what he wanted to do. He's talked about that for so long, and that's kind of why he would add things here and there in the old movies and stuff, and it just looked really good. But it took me out of Star Wars for the split second because he would use a zoom and a different camera angle that we were used to from Star Wars. And like y'all were saying before, like this Star Wars is ingrained. If you know those 3 movies and lived with those first 3 movies, you immediately will see something and go, oh, that's what they did in Star Wars. Or they've never done that in Star Wars. Even if it's a fade or a pan or some kind of zoom, we knew that for 20 years before they introduced anything to us. And when I don't know if you guys did, but when I read those books, I hear Star Wars. When I used to read the old EU, if I knew the character's voice, I can't not hear it when I read it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was something I think you guys mentioned early on. Kind of there's a disconnect with today's fans. And it's today's fans weren't immersed in it. They don't have playtime. They do not have the experience of buying, of even wanting toys and playing with toys.
Yep.
Now they're so social by like 4th grade, you know, and they already have phones and all this stuff. Nobody's interested in action figures. And I'm still super interested in action figures, you know, and all that stuff was so cool, you know, having lived through it like we did. There was droughts, and then we kind of got something else, and then we got the EU, and we got, you know, and then we got a new game, or, you know, I think somebody mentioned they couldn't remember the first games. The first games, I don't know if there was an actual red Star Wars games, but we did have those early 2600 games. Because Empire Strikes Back, I remember very
distinctly 2600, and
yeah.
Let's just say this: even though it was a popular system, just because the game was out didn't mean you were able to get your hands on it.
No.
Some games, even up until you got a Super Nintendo. Good luck trying to get your hands on, what was that football game? It was
Madden.
Before Madden.
Oh, Pro Bowl.
Tecmo Bowl.
Tecmo Bowl,
trying to get your hands on that. You couldn't get your hands on that 3 years after it's been released.
Yeah, that was a different time.
That it was a totally different time.
Many, like early console era, many houses only had one television.
Yep.
Which meant many houses did not have an arcade system of any kind.
It was very rare. I grew up before Atari. A video game was technically, this is what a video game. Simon Says. I don't know if you remember that game.
I played that a lot.
Simon.
When we went to an arcade, the idea of an arcade isn't the 80s, 90s version of an arcade. An arcade originally was pinball machines and air hockey. That was an arcade.
Foosball, maybe.
I played one of the first ones, Pong. That was the first actual game, Pong.
Yep.
So I remember Pong. And Pong today, you wouldn't even put that on your cell phone. But
I did play Mario Tennis.
That was fabulous, Pong. And when Atari came out, that was mind blowing. So, but like I said, I mean, I remember when the prequels came out, and my kids and my nephews, everything. You had more games that came out, video games, toys, everything than we had at the original New Hope.
Well,
What
I
wasn't a New
remember
Hope.
the
We didn't
original
have all
Star
that.
Wars arcade.
Huh?
Oh, the vector graphics.
Yeah.
May the
Dude, I
force
played
be
them
with you.
till I was
Always.
blue in the
I
face.
can remember the ones that came out, video games for the arcade that you could go play. Didn't come out until Return of the Jedi. That's when you could play them games. But at the time, like Empire Strikes Back, you didn't have an arcade game in the arcade, or New Hope. You didn't have. You had a pinball machine. You did have
And
a Star
then
Wars
at
pinball
that
machine.
time, we're still lucky enough. Like, I was not well off. I came across a 2600. And again, I came across Empire Strikes Back. I did not get to buy these things. It was like somebody had it. They're like, oh, do you want this? I'm getting rid of it. Sure, I'll take it. And then Empire Strikes Back, the person my mother was dating at the time, he brings it home. You know, my mother was 20 when she had me. So when I'm 10, they're not exactly unexcited about video games at that time. You know, they're still in their 20s ish. So they would be like, oh, this game is so cool. You need to check it out. You know, so I was just very lucky. I can't even say fortunate because that's not the right word. I was very lucky to come across those games and have them early on. But yeah, after even Super Nintendo had the Star Wars games. But when Xbox came out, everything changed. That was like EU for video games now. I mean, tons of stuff. And if you followed Star Wars at the time, KOTOR made the rules of the Sith. There wasn't anything before what they wrote.
Well, I had a PS1 and I had Dark Forces.
The video game that was a big impact, and what came out in '96, it was Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. That was a game that was everything a movie release would have, except we never got a movie. We never got a movie. Yep. I always wish George Lucas would have made even a CGI or animation movie of Shadows of the Empire. I always thought I'd hoped that maybe Disney would do that.
Oh, yeah.
That is gold.
It really did come off very well. The marketing, the attempt, everything about it. And
I remember going into the malls, and when Shadows came out, it was like everything I remember, because you remember that was '96. The special editions were getting ready to come out. They were still years away from Phantom Menace. That was a real deal. Even though you did have the EU books, that Shadows of the Empire is what really brought Star Wars back.
And Shadows was supposed to be on N64 release. And that was it got pushed back. It did not come out on release. It came out after there was an established library because they wanted to do it right. Because I remember the N64 box, and that they had like 6 games pictured on the box. You know, it's like, oh, look at what we're going to be bringing out this year. And yeah, N64 is without its.
But for me, since you're asking about the two important images in Star Wars, mine would be from A New Hope. The first one, I want to say the Darth Vader Obi-Wan fight, but I really like the one that guy on YouTube made. It's a remake of that fight, modernized. I don't know. I forget the actual name of it. But
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That one, if Disney was smart, would buy that rights to that and include that into a remake of New Hope, because that makes Obi-Wan look like the actual Obi-Wan. I wasn't never happy of Obi-Wan's lightsaber kind of losing its blade. I never liked that idea, but I liked the way that person redid it. That was perfect. And I'm going to say this. If it was not for the Battle of Yavin, Star Wars wouldn't be here. The Battle of Yavin is what put Star Wars on the map. X-Wings versus TIE Fighters, that whole fight. A lot of people don't know this. Red 5, Yellow Leader, all this stuff. George Lucas borrowed that from a movie called The Battle of Britain. And that's what they were calling themselves. Red Leader, Red 5. When they're counting off their numbers and they're calling in, he took that from the Battle of Britain.
That's what I was referring to when I was saying the fighter pilot stuff. Yeah. Like he was always trying to get that because he really wanted
that image. And then exactly when they're calling in and you're hearing Red 13 or Red 5 or Red 7 and all that, he bought that word for word from from the Battle of Britain. If you ever watch that movie, it's free on YouTube. You'll hear it calling out that way. But I love that. I love the whole thing. The only thing I don't like, another Disney thing, the surviving Y-Wing was written afterwards in books and everything as a male character. Disney has countered that, and now it's somehow a female pilot that was the surviving Y-Wing pilot. Typical Disney. And they've done a lot of changes that you don't even know about, and you'll find out later. That's a prime example. But my original New Hope, when I saw it in the theater, didn't have New Hope Episode 4. It had to crawl, but it did not have Star Wars Episode 4, New Hope. Did not have it in the crawl.
No, that wasn't added until a later release.
Yep. But Empire did have it, and Return of the Jedi did have it, but New Hope did not have none of that. So
wasn't it because he wasn't sure he's going to be able to make the rest of them?
No, but he made a deal with Fox. He was going to get 3 movies, but the condition was he didn't make a profit. He broke even when it comes to the movies. His profit came purely from merchandise and memorabilia. And the only other person that was smart enough at the time was Alan McGinnis. When he signed his contract, he signed that he wanted 4% of the merchandise. And that was enough for him to retire just off the New Hope. Because that's where he made his money.
And I bought all Lucas's merchandise.
How does that play into the not putting Episode 4 on the crawl?
But there was a big hoopla about the New Hope when it came out. Movies, you always had the credits in the beginning. George Lucas put it at the end.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
And that was a big deal and hoopla that made him, let's just say, Star Wars could have probably got a lot more Oscars at the time, but George Lucas, because of that, stepped on toes. One of the reasons it didn't get all the Oscars it could have got.
And welcome, DJRonnieG.
Top of the evening to you, gentlemen. How great stream. I've been listening. I had to run out, take care of some errands, but I was listening on my bike. I tried to jump in. Apparently, StreamYard on an Android device doesn't really do Bluetooth, but yeah, so. On Star Wars Day, I found out months ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, right? And I was watching Loki's stream, and I was like, oh shit, it's Star Wars Day. I gotta 3D print some Star Wars garbage, you know what I mean? I gotta admit, it was a rush job, And this one, it took me actually 2 additional days because I had to recalibrate my printer, but I got this piece of junk TIE bomber, and I don't know if you guys could guess what's wrong with it, but there is something missing from it. Well, basically,
not a window. There's no pilot.
It does have, right? It does look like it has a. It doesn't. Well, that's a good point. Yeah, there's supposed to be a window here, but Okay,
I see that.
And basically, there's actually a little piece that sticks out at the bottom of that, directs the bombs, I guess. And I just never got around to printing that tiny bit. But I
thought about it too much. I thought it was some sort of antenna or something.
Yeah, I maybe it is. I mean, maybe it's a targeting system because getting to World War II, like Mr. Who the hell was just talking? Mr. McCracken, right? World War One, bomb sites were very important, and they were like early mechanical computers of sorts. I think you mentioned a Battle of Britain movie. I would also want to mention Dam Busters was also another movie that was that George Lucas drew upon for inspiration.
Yeah.
Before anybody answers them, I'm going to ask them ahead of time before people jump on me. DJ, is that burnable? Because they're going to ask because they think I'm an arsonist.
This is better than burnable.
Anything's burnable. You put enough gas on it.
This will melt at a very low temperature.
Burnable other than
I didn't use gas. I used lighter fluid. That's
the same thing. Just cars won't run because of the government,
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to burn it using lightning. So this is a plasma torch, or at least I'm going to pretend it's a plasma torch. So it creates
I'm getting flashbacks. I'm getting flashbacks.
In fact, I got to get this a little more. All right, there we go. So we got lightning, just like in a real Star Wars
You're
battle.
ready. He's about to burn his house down on stream.
Let's see, how do we do this?
This is going to make you famous.
For anybody in the FBI watching, we are not. We are not recording this.
Kids, don't play with fire or plasma.
Yes.
I cannot get the angle right.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Oh, God.
So, wow, it does burn. Yes, it does burn. I thought it was just going to melt and smolder. But yeah, it totally burns. Now it's battle damaged.
Battle damage.
It's got some carbon scoring.
Just remember, you cannot have a fire in space because it's a vacuum. If
Well-
they always show spaceships catching on fire, that's bogus. It's not real science because there's no air. It's vacuum.
We don't
There
care.
would be a little poof.
Ships carry their own oxygen supply, but I do agree that they can't just have like a little flame coming off like a old naval battle. They can maybe burn real quick, and like Babylon 5. Babylon 5 did it right. Ship explodes, red fireball, gone. But it's not gonna, it's not gonna be a continuous burn. That does not happen, and I would agree with that.
I always that's the one thing I always disagreed with original Battlestar Galactica. You used to see the flames inside the ship. Didn't like that. And Enterprise, there was a couple times in Star Trek they had the flames, and no, it wouldn't happen.
Real quick, Phil, because you mentioned Battlestar Galactica before, and we just mentioned it now. The new Battlestar Galactica was the first space show that I saw real space battle in.
I like the space battles. The only thing I disagreed with that version of Battlestar Galactica is I didn't like the switching the races and the sections of the characters.
And
my Starbuck is always to me male. I like the guy who played Colonel Ty, but I'm sorry, I don't understand why he had to be white instead of black like in the original movie.
Yeah.
Boomer went from black to Oriental and female.
And a female.
I agree.
It didn't make sense. Don't get me wrong. Even in the original Battlestar Galactica, you had female fighter pilots.
Yes.
I don't have. They could have took all them female characters instead of remaking from the males and making them female. Why not? They just take that lady and said, make her a new pilot. Just give her a different name.
I
Did
get
they
all
have
that.
to destroy
I
our
understand
Starbucks?
everything, and I can fully agree and relevate what you're saying. And
I know it
and
makes me sound old, but it isn't like we didn't have. I don't want to. I hate saying this. Diversity and inclusion. Original Battlestar Galactica, like I said, you had female fighter pilots. You had representation. Colonel Ty in the original was African American. Boomer was black. I always liked
Boomer.
Jolly. He was a fat person, still a fighter pilot. You know,
you had to have a Porkins in there.
Always
yeah, except he lasted longer than Porkins.
Yeah, he did.
Like I said,
I can hold it.
I don't understand why the changes they had. Just even if you do a remake or modernization, you stick to what it was. Just do it modern. That's all. You don't have to change the character.
Totally understand everything because I loved Battlestar Galactica when I was a kid. That was the show I watched. It was this series because Star Wars was movies, so I got to watch Battlestar Galactica, and everything you're saying, totally agree with. And that's what, when I started watching the new one, I was like, okay, this is not the old one. And I separated it right away.
Yeah, you have to. Because they
but it was
have things like when you do time, there were even the new one, you notice they use our time, minutes, hours, seconds. Original Battlestar Galactica, you had centons, millitons, you use their language, not our language. And if they're from another galaxy or another time, they're not going to use our same wordage. So I kind of like the original Battlestar. You know?
Yeah, and they did do a little bit of that in the new one. But I looked at when the new Battlestar Galactica came out, I personally looked at it a lot as when TNG came out from the old original series. I had a really hard time accepting the next generation because it was so different from what I knew Star Trek to be. But with both of these, it's a little different because one's a continuation and one's a reimagining.
And it was
with Star Trek,
TNG was a progression.
It. But the glass panels and all the stuff, it was hard for me to accept. It was hard for me to just not assume, oh, this is just Spock in a new iteration, and this is just Kirk in a new iteration. But I gave it a chance. And I loved the show. I loved what they did with the characters. The Battlestar Galactica, I gave it a chance. Right away, I was like, Starbucks, a girl. I don't even know if I can handle this. And so I gave it a chance because the story was good enough to keep me involved. And there's other stories I can easily say are not as good as what I saw in this. And as I watched the series, I started to accept what they were doing. And I'll have to say, Starbuck being a woman is my biggest thing. But Katie Sackhoff playing that part is what makes me love Katie Sackhoff.
Right.
Yeah.
So I
kind
of find myself in a conundrum at that point.
I separated. To me, it's like,
but they are different. They are different.
Yeah. I separated. It's like, to me, that it's Battlestar Galactica, but it's not the Battlestar Part 2 to the original. You know,
that's kind of
my heart will always be with the first one because that's what I grew up watching. Even though it was only on TV for one season, and we won't talk about Battlestar Galactica 1980 ever. But,
just like we won't talk about the 2 Star Wars television specials.
He won't talk about these things, but he keeps bringing up Star Trek 5.
I love Star Trek 5.
Good movie.
You can love it all you want. But
I did retire. Justice for Star Trek. Hashtag Justice for Star Trek 5. The new hashtag.
You sure about that, Phil?
Release the Shatner cut of Star Trek 5. That's the new hashtag.
Here we go. Excuse me, I'd just like to ask a question. What does God need with a starship?
Anything he wants. Anything God wants.
Is the Shatner cut just him through the whole movie?
All I know is a lot of people don't know that when that movie came out first, there was a strike. There was a writer's strike. There was a production strike going on. So they had to use ununionized people. So he didn't have the same writers like in Leonard Nimoy had for Star Trek 4. Then they limited him to an hour and 45 minutes. Out of all the Star Trek movies, that's the shortest amount of time on a movie. There is actually 15 minutes of additional footage that went all the way through the process available. They can add to it. There's an additional 30 minutes on top of that that was not developed. What I mean what I mean by that, it don't have the finishing touches. Okay.
So you're talking Shatner cut like there's a what is the cut for that DC Justice
the air's cut
right
and,
away,
yeah.
and there's a potential of 15 minutes and the other 30 minutes, 45 minutes they could really do.
But
I don't know if
does
that
it
would
make it
improve
make
the movie,
sense?
but it probably will add to it. Let's just say that. And maybe they'll get it out there, maybe they won't. But Star Trek V, even the release date, it went up against the Batman with Michael Keaton. So you already know they were going to get their butts hanging to them.
Oh my
It's a
gosh.
miracle it made $45 million in the box office. You know, but
Not
still,
only that-
to me, that's not the worst Star Trek movie. I mean, if you want to talk about money wise, it's one of the next generation movies. I can't think of the name of it right
Probably
now.
Resurrection.
One of the movies
Insurrection.
they did.
Contact.
Or
Yep, Insurrection.
Insurrection, I think
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
the one I'm thinking of.
It actually did worse than Star Trek V.
That just seemed like an episode of Star Trek.
Yeah, it was a
That's
really
all
long
it
episode.
literally was. It was if you took
Mm-hmm.
an episode and you turned it into a literal movie. That's all it was.
That's a horrible. That as the like a lot of people talk about Star Trek fatigue, and that was the movie. I'm like, I want good Star Trek, and this movie's not good enough for me. Because I love
had a thing that they
really dropped.
They were releasing Star Trek movies between the original original motion picture to the last one of the TNG. It was every 3 years, practically. Sometimes it was like 2.5. So every 2.5 years, you got a new Star Trek movie. So if you look at the timing of it, I think they had enough time for, how can I say, you weren't burned out. But unfortunately, some of them Star Trek movies, if you're including the TNG movies, I'm not going to count J.J. Abrams, but if you're including the Star Trek movies from original motion picture to the last TNG movie, some of them were going up against the release date. I questioned Paramount. Why, like, for example, you knew the Batman movie was going to dominate the box office. You either release it before
They didn't know that.
or afterhand, not
Honestly,
at the same
they
time.
didn't know that.
But they did it. They
They
did
can
it
have
over and
projections.
over again.
It wasn't the same back then. Are you kidding? A comic book movie in '89, and they haven't had one comic book
They
movie
had
that did good.
Superman, and Superman. If you forget 3, 1 and 2 was pretty darn good.
They were
Spider-Man
good, but
Spider-Man was on TV. The Incredible Hulk had the series on TV. They were both very popular. What
Batman
wasn't
was such a
popular
step forward.
was Captain America. Captain America lasted for 2 episodes, and then they had to replace ABC had to replace it with Battlestar Galactica. That's how Battlestar Galactica got on TV. If Captain America didn't flop, we wouldn't have had Battlestar Galactica.
Captain America and Spider-Man, they were never really able to pull off well in America.
Spider-Man on TV, yes, he did the TV from this TV show in the 70s, and the couple times where they had like a TV movie did quite good. Incredible Hulk.
Well,
with Bill
they
Bixby.
did it, but in Japan or China, I forget what it was.
Japan.
But they had a series that ran forever, and it wasn't the interpretation of Spider-Man that we know.
No,
but it ran
Japan is
for
always
several seasons.
This way, Japan always has difference. Even when you buy music, for example, if you bought a Metallica album, I don't care which one, and it's the copy, the same versions over in Japan, by law, Japan has to be different. They have to include either a live song or an extra song. And if you look at the Japanese releases, they all have it because Japan wants their stuff to be different than ours.
Well, then
That's
I
always
want
been
all of Japan's releases of Metallica's albums.
You should.
I'm totally jealous now.
I mean, I'm not making this up. I don't care what band music, what genre of music. If you Google the search for Japan, you'll always see an extra song. Most of the time, they just were putting it in there. Normally, they put a live song, one live track.
You can
But
probably
some
get a
bands-
lot of those things were on bootlegs.
Yep.
That back in the
And
90s
here's
and
the
2000s.
thing: when you do get a couple albums like that, like they'll send a couple to the United States, you're not. Let's just say typical CD with an extra song from Japan, same album. You might have been missing a song. You paid what, $15 for the CD. If it comes from Japan with that extra song, you're paying $30 for that CD just because it came from Japan with an extra.
And I
song.
might still pay it because I'm that niche.
Yeah.
If you can
I
give me
used-
some extra stuff and it's good extra stuff,
Mhm.
I'm that guy that's gonna buy it. I'm that guy that's gonna buy.
I used to be a Kiss fan, and trust me, every time it was a release over of an album in the United States, I always looked for a copy in Japan. And they always had, like I said, they'll always have two songs different than anything that was released in the United States. And sometimes England's the same way. You might get an extra song or extra two songs for over there in England. Just because what we get doesn't mean they get the same. Sometimes the album switch. I mean, Mike, if you even do a quick Google search, look Kiss Killers, and you look at there only was released in England and one in Japan, and you'll see the tracks. There'll be different tracks. The Japanese has two different tracks than the one in England. One's a 15 track and the other one's a 17, because Japan always wants to have different. And that's just one band. This is for all music. Like if you're a country music fan, I don't know, Hank Williams Jr., he puts an album out. Well, the Japanese version is going to either have a live track or a demo that he's not going to put on the American, but because Japan wants it, they get it.
And back to Star Wars.
And Star Wars.
Yeah. Let's get back to the main topic at hand.
Star Wars.
And
they do get different merchandise over there in Japan, Star Wars included. Like sometimes they might get, I'm not sure if it's, don't hold me to this, but I think the Red Stormtrooper that they eventually released in the sequel trilogy was released in Japan first.
They get all the cool
surprised.
stuff.
Yep, it's just something that the Japanese they just want. They want the material, but they want something different, so they include it. And for them people, our companies over here accommodate the Japanese.
Yep.
So,
and let's go ahead and shift back to Patriot's question. What two moments of the original Star Wars caught your attention on Anono Mass?
Original Star Wars. Do I all three or just the first, The New Hope?
Patriot, what are the rules?
Oh no, did I violate?
No, you didn't.
Well, Patriot's gone, so
I think it was
first six movies. We're doing Lucas. We're doing Lucas's Star Wars.
I'm gonna go with first movie since that was the very first one I watched, and that's the one that pulled me in. So, very first movie, the number one scene. Oh man, there's so many. Good grief. I'm a big space battle guy. Starfighter battle. So I know it's not up to snuff, compared to Empire and especially Return of the Jedi. But when the TIE fighters attack, when they're trying to escape the Death Star, that whole scene, that whole battle there was had me on the edge of my seat.
Now you're saying episode 4, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the Death Star trench run.
No. The escape from the Death Star, where the 2 TIE fighters attack the Millennium Falcon. They're in the gunner's chairs trying to stave them off.
Yeah, I know exactly the scene you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. So
after Han, Luke, and Leia escape on the Falcon after Obi-Wan's killed by Vader.
Yep. So that was like the first real space battle. So that was like, oh my God, the sounds, the TIE fighter sounds, the gunner sounds, the sound effects were just fantastic. And, it blew my mind. So that scene was the hook of the show for me, the very first one. And then it has to be the Death Star battle at the end.
All right.
Everybody, and especially when I know he stole that from war movie, but yeah, when they were all flying in and everybody was checking in, Red 5 standing by, it just, even when I hear that in video games, some of the arcade games, my whole brain just sinks and like, yes, that's good stuff.
Yep.
That's what
I'm
you
smiling
would
right
hear.
now, just replaying in my head, man.
Yeah,
I have to ask you,
realistically.
I hate to say this, but I have to ask you: did it hurt you like it hurt me that in supposedly the Rise of Palpatine movie, Rey gets called Red 5?
Yep.
Yep.
She does, and that was so painful.
To me, that's the ultimate.
It's not her call sign. It's the ship's call sign. Just like planes. If there's a pilot
in the United States Air Force and he retires, his plane does not retire. Another pilot takes his place, but he does not take the call sign. He gets a new call
5
sign.
is not Maverick. It's not.
I understand
that. To me, the ship is the call sign because it has a tail number. And that,
but here's the thing.
Why that's the only reason.
But Padawan, here's the thing. That is like the final nail in the coffin of everything stolen by Rey of Luke Skywalker. The lightsaber.
I see where you're going with that, Phil, because everybody associates Red 5 with Luke.
Yes.
Yep. I know they put the guy in there in what's it called? Rogue One. He was Red 5. He blows up. The comedian guy. But always to me, Red 5 is Luke Skywalker. There is no Red Squadron. No, after the Battle of Yavin, it becomes Rogue Squadron. There is no red. There's no gold.
Just curious. Is the Millennium Falcon then Han Solo only?
No, because Chewie was there with him at the time. Technically, as always will be Lando's ship. Lando comes back, I guess, in that movie, he technically comes back for the ship. Because if I remember what people tell me, Lando's flying the Falcon at the Rise of Palpatine. So I guess Lando gets the ship back.
Oh, yeah, well, Han's dead, so what does he need with her, right?
Just like Chewie's going to argue it?
Yeah, somebody, a Wookiee needs to choke Lando out again. You'll get a little too familiar.
He ends up not being able to fulfill his life debt to Han. So what happens at that point for him?
And this is where they're terrible writing, because now Chewie follows Rey.
Nope. We're not talking about that.
No. I know,
Nothing. We're not talking Disney.
Let him speak. Let him speak.
But I'm saying that is how stupid these people are when it comes to Star Wars. You had Wedge Antilles. The actor comes back. He's in his uniform that he wore at the Battle of Yavin. He's in that quintessential orange jumpsuit that the Rebel pilots wore. Is he in a T-65 X-Wing? No. Is he in a T-70 X-Wing? No. Where is he? He's in the gunner seat of the Millennium Falcon. I'm sorry. Backhand all the original fans you want with that. Wedge Antilles, the man who flew right beside Luke Skywalker in the trench run, took a hit for him so that way Luke could keep going on. You have that
Destroyed the
man
second
sitting in
Death
the.
Star. He destroyed the second Death Star.
Yeah, I
Wedge.
mean, he flew in there with the Millennium Falcon, and he helped destroy. I mean, again,
Launched the
this is.
torpedoes.
I mean, this is the destruction that they do to the originals. Wedge Antilles, a legendary. I mean, going to EU, he is a legendary fighter pilot in the Rebellion and in the New Republic. He is a legendary fighter pilot, and you relegate him to, yeah, we're gonna throw you in the gunner seat, but we're just gonna be like, yeah, we're here for you. Bull crap. I wanted to see him taking on TIE fighters in a T-65. Why? Because that was his fighter. That was what he was always remembered for.
Couldn't show up, Poe Dameron.
Hatred, I think you were hearing this voice while you were saying that.
You may fire when ready.
That made me, I won't be honest, that broke my heart. Like I said, I didn't see the movie. I did see clips and I had people tell me. But for bringing back Wedge, the actor, and to put him in the turret gun of the Millennium Falcon, and then to say, nothing against Lando, love Lando. Nice flying Lando, and that's your only line. That's the only line. They can find an old Y-wing and put that lady in, which I don't mind. She's a good actress, but we never saw her face. The Poe Dameron ex-girlfriend. She can be flying a Y-wing. They couldn't find even a Y-wing to put Wedge into.
Nope. Do you want? So Phil, I saw all 3 sequel movies because my best friend and I, like, we've known each other since junior high. We've grown up together. I was one groomsman in his wedding. He was my best man in my wedding and everything that happened years ago. And so we made a pact. We were going to see the movies for better or for worse. We're going to see them all 3 together, whether we hated them or not, because we were just diehard Star Wars, and we hated them. But guess how they have the big moment in Rise of Skywalker? You think the Resistance is being shot down, fighters are going down left and right. You think, oh, there's no way we can do this. All of a sudden, with 13 hours, I'm going to stipulate this, in 13 hours, you see a fleet that dwarfs any fleet ever shown in Star Wars. And I'm even talking the Coruscant. You thought that was big. This fleet is literally described as tens of thousands of ships, all from little corvettes to dreadnoughts, show up in 13 hours from all over the galaxy.
Someone did not know their Star Wars material.
Nope. And when they had to take out these special Star Destroyers, all you had to do was target the big gun that was the obvious weak point. It wasn't, hey, we got to take on these Star Destroyers old school. We got to just slug it out fight. You didn't get any big galactic scale fight. You didn't get that whole, when Lando says in Return of the Jedi, he says, yes, closer, get as close as you can and engage those Star Destroyers at point blank range. You didn't get a moment like that. No, it was, no, we're going to have a few different shots of fighters flying and strafing the undersides of these Star Destroyers, taking out the big guns, which blows up the whole Star Destroyer. That was your big moment. You didn't get that battle over Coruscant, that battle in Endor when all the rebel ships know that they're probably going to lose, and they're still willing to go point blank against ships that would easily outgun them, but they still do it because they got the hope that they could still take out the Death Star. No, we don't get that. We don't get that grand moment. Oh God. Oof, okay, I'm fired up now.
What hurt me the most, and I did see a clip at the end, and this is where I said they have stolen everything from Luke and given it to Rey. First, you see the end was she buries Anakin's and Leia's lightsaber at the Lars homestead. Okay. Then you get the Force ghosts of Luke and Leia. I'm sorry, but we all know not every Jedi can become a Force ghost. That's a fact. You had to be specially trained. There's very few. Second, Leia has no ties to the Lars homestead. Besides the grave of her grandmother, in fact, I doubt she even knows anything about her grandmother. She has no ties to Tatooine. Why is she burying her lightsaber next to Luke's on the Lars homestead? I don't understand it. I don't get it. I did see at the end she gets a yellow lightsaber and she makes her own. I would have been happier seeing her have that at the very beginning.
Well, that's
do
what
not
true
understand their
Jedis
thinking.
do. They forge their own lightsabers.
And
The ugliest lightsaber in the history of Star Wars.
And what actually a lot of people, Phil, wanted to see with Rey, because she carried that staff around with her, a lot of people wanted to see her with a double-bladed weapon, because since she already knew how to use that staff proficiently, it would make sense if she had a double-bladed lightsaber, which would have been unique for a hero Jedi to wield a double-bladed lightsaber like Darth Maul, but instead it could be, yellow, blue, green, whatever color you would associate with a Jedi. Everyone was wanting to see that, but we never got that because they still had to keep Anakin Skywalker's
I think they wanted to humiliate. And I hate to say this, Luke Skywalker. And the one thing I know for a fact, when I seen it in the movie when I saw The Last Jedi, and you can rewatch the clips of it, when they show him milking that creature to get the milk,
yuck!
Look at Rey's face. The actress is playing Rey's face. What does she do? She practically laughs at him and turns her head away.
Bad.
She practically laughs at him.
I'd have to watch that scene again to see it.
If you, I don't know about you guys, but have you ever been to a farm? You ever see a cow get milked?
Yeah.
I've seen the Amish do it, and you know what they did? And that's how you get your milk. I'm not going to laugh at the person milking the cow. I don't see the thing. To me, it was to humiliate him. And that was a scene, like I said, you can look at it and you see the actor, she's laughing at him. You stupid man. You're not drinking water. You're going to milk a creature like that and laugh? No. Yeah. It killed me, Mike. It killed me. And I mean, at that time, no, I didn't want to burn my Star Wars stuff. I didn't want to destroy it. I didn't want to be at the end. But that's where it started. There. Let's destroy Luke Skywalker. Everything into that movies. That's why I could not watch the Return of Palpatine. And in the TV shows, I was a fan of Boba Fett. This day, Star Wars Day, I remember before it would be TNT would have all 3 movies playing right now. I guarantee you, and I know TNT still exists, not under the same ownership, but I guarantee you there's no Star Wars movies being played on TNT today.
Well, there were in the wintertime, but they were showing the sequels. They weren't showing the original trilogy.
They did it on Star Wars Day when it was under Ted Turner. He would have the 3 original movies played during the day, and it was almost nonstop, all 3 movies. So sometime during the day, even if you miss one, you can watch it again. But we don't have that no more. I guess they feel you go watch it on Disney Plus, I guess. I don't know. It's not much of a day anymore like it used to be.
No. And I do want to welcome Lord Crit. Welcome, Crit.
Hello.
Welcome.
Lord Crit, how are you doing?
You guys ranting about The Last Jedi?
Well, we need to stop ranting.
I didn't see it.
We keep diverging because I asked a question and then it seems to keep getting us into rants. So I'm wondering if the question is a cursed question.
Maybe so.
Just focus.
No,
just focus
it's
on
not
the
cursed.
original. Just focus
It's
on the
not
original Star Wars.
On a positive note,
what
I'm
2
sorry.
moments stick out to you?
But on a positive note, it sent chills down my spine during the Battle of Yavin when one of the pilots said, "I'm going to cut across the axis to draw their fire." For some reason, it sounded like a bit of self-sacrifice for his team, maybe. I mean, I'm sure he didn't intend on getting shot down, but I mean, that's a bit risque, getting in front of turbo lasers and shit. So, I definitely want to acknowledge the valor of that pilot.
Well, actually, a lot of them, even what's his name? Was it Red One or was it the Y bomber guy?
Well, them too.
He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna come across and cover you." He says, "No, stay where you are, or continue your run." and he knew he was dead. He knew.
Oh, that's Red Leader. That's Red Leader.
Yeah, that was Red Leader. Yeah,
Red Leader. Yeah, he was.
The one,
he
the one I
sacrificed
liked
himself.
is the Y-wing guy. He kept saying, "Stay on target."
Oh yeah, I hated that guy. I hated that guy.
Stay on target.
Hey, you guys stay back there and die for me while I'm trying to shoot this thing.
Was it just me? But I will give credit for Rogue One. The reason you don't see more than 4 Y-wings, you always wonder why was there enough Y-wings at the Battle of Yavin? Because if you look at the Rogue One, at least that battle, most of the Y-wings got wiped out. So now it did make sense. Rogue One, I do give it as a Star Wars movie, because a lot of what they did in that movie I can tie in, so it's perfectly fine for me. I'm glad we don't have Blue Squadron because they got wiped out, because it wouldn't make sense them surviving because there's no Blue Squadron in the Battle of Yavin. So yeah, like I said, you're as a kid, you're watching it and you see all these X-wings, but you only see 4 Y-wings, and you're like, if you're going to bomb a Death Star, wouldn't you want more Y? Well, they didn't have any more, so
yeah, and it was a short amount of time between that battle and the Battle of Yavin that they could not replenish their ships and pilots.
Yep. And so it made sense as a tie-in. See, that's the one movie Disney did that I can say ties in with the other movies.
Yeah, Rogue One's good movie. Except the first 40 minutes, which is a bore.
So, Mike, I'm going to have to jump soon because my iPad's almost dead.
All right.
Okay. Didn't know if you wanted me to answer my own question or not.
Yes. Please answer your own question.
Answer.
So I'm picking one from the original series and one from prequel. For me, it was the Battle of Hoth, because when you see, they're fighting and they know that they can't hold them off, but you see a hodgepodge of all sorts of weapons that they do, and at the intensity part, you just see, explosions all around the rebel trenches, and you just see them like with their repeaters and their anti-personnel cannons, and then you just see them unleashing everything that they have against these walkers, and it's not even, they're just brushing it off, these walkers, and you see, it's just that scene still holds up to this day. You watch it and you're just still like jaw dropped, like holy crap! It's one of the best Star Wars battles, I argue, because it holds up to this day.
Yeah, and you can't even it's not contrived like you would think. Oh, here comes these gigantic walkers with 4 legs. Good thing they had harpoon cables on the back of their ships. Some people might think that was that's just convenience. But you didn't even think about it back then. It's like these are the ships for snow. These are snow speeders. This is the planet they're on, and this is what they are. And that factor never entered into your mind. And it's like, oh well, our blasters aren't working on these things. They're just too freaking huge, and the armor's too strong. What are we gonna do? We got some shoestrings back here we can tie around their legs. Let's try that.
Yep.
I do remember as a kid people saying, why did they even use the snow speeders? Why didn't they just get in their X-wings? But I think the reason is X-wings are more high altitude and the snow speeders were low altitude. But there were people that were asking questions like, why didn't they just get in their X-wings or Y-wings and fight the walkers that way? But I think it had something to do with the altitude.
If you notice, on the snow speeders they had windbreakers.
Yes, they did. Yeah,
to help them navigate
flaps,
or maneuver. Yeah.
Well, and also remember, the X-wings were protecting the transport. So whenever a transport left, it was escorted by several X-wings. So they needed the X-wings to offer what little cover they could against a potential TIE fighter attack.
Exactly, and they knew they couldn't win this. They couldn't win the ground battle.
They were just to
also
an Empire in that space, in that Battle of Hoth. That's the first time during the movies that you got to hear Rogue Squadron. It's the First time
Yep.
it was mentioned.
Yep.
Kudos to Luke and Wedge.
Yep, amen to that. And then my second one is going to be the opening scene of Revenge of the Sith, because I remember being in theaters. You got the subwoofers blaring, and all of a sudden, you're flying over a Venator class, and then the moment that they hit, you see them hit like their turbos and they bank down, and then it looks like old school like naval battle, not even World War II. We're talking in the days of galleons, like where ships just got at point blank range and we're just slugging it
Fire
out.
all
And
the cannons.
you just see it. I mean, you could watch that scene 100 times and you will see new stuff. I guarantee you. I still find new stuff. And just seeing them flying as these ships are just decking it out, and you watch and you see droid fighters and clone pilots slugging it out, going banking and diving and all this stuff. And as they're just flying, there's so much, but at the same time, it doesn't take away from the moment, because you see these fighters, they're having to maneuver through the battle. So you're still focused on the two Jedi while this whole thing is going on. It doesn't take away from it. It adds to it visually. And I remember seeing that in theaters, and I'm just like, I don't know if I'll ever experience this moment again. Like, it was just like that epicness, because to this day, I can't think of any other time in sci-fi history where you got that jaw-dropping of a moment where you're just like, I don't know what's going on, but I love it.
The only thing about that scene that as a guy who loves starfighter battles, I would have liked to have saw was more dogfights. Because most of it was just them two fighting off buzz droids and all the stuff going on around them until they, finally get to the cruiser and gets on the landing deck. But it would have been really cool if they spent at least a couple minutes, fighting or dogfighting with other ships. I would have loved that.
So, Mike, see the image
I can't
there
argue with
that I
that.
showed you? That's the Japanese poster.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
To me, I
like
like
it.
that one slightly more than the one we got, especially with the Millennium Falcon like that and the X-wings.
I would
I'm gonna
love
have
to
to
have
find
this
that
in a
poster.
frame.
That's from
me too,
the
yeah.
Japanese, and it was also released in the UK of the New Hope posters. If you look at this poster, it's designed by the same person that did the New Hope poster for the United States. But that one from Japan, they get a little better over there in Japan than we do. I hate to say that, but they get a little better than we do.
Yeah.
Especially, like I
But-
said, when you're looking at the spaceships, you look at that, and then you look at the spaceships we got on the New Hope trailer, you see like about 30 X-Wings flying at the bottom of our poster. You don't see anything. Look at this one. You see the exhaust of the X-Wings.
Mm-hmm.
You see the firing of the TIE against it.
Well, we can't say the Chinese don't love art.
Well, it's
They
not
just
Chinese,
hate
that's
different
Japanese.
races.
Don't
It's
insult-
Japanese.
don't
It's
insult
Japanese.
Japan.
Look,
I call them
Japanese
Chinese.
too. We can't say they don't love art. They just
The
don't
only
like
thing that you
other
can
races.
see they did a boo-boo is the dome, the inside dome, go back to the Death Star. It should be at the top, not the bottom.
It's upside down, man.
Yeah, the Death Star
There is no
down.
upside down in space.
Well, it could be that way. In space, it might be right side up, and we're looking at it up,
That's right. It's all
upside
perspective.
Yeah, that's true.
But I just like the artwork.
Mike, I gotta
like
get
I said,
going.
It's the same guy.
All right, brother. Real quick, tomorrow I'm having countdown to season 3 for the Orville. You're more than welcome to join me.
I will. I'm not making any guarantees, but I will try and make it if I'm able to.
You know my thing. You don't have to. I just offer the invite.
All right. Well, if I can, I'll be there, and I'm always honored always honored about the invite. So,
Not a problem. And real quick before you go, let's see. If you do decide to show up, let me see if this is it. Yeah, this is it right here.
Pacific, you didn't tell us your 2 favorite Star Wars moments.
I know I need to go Gelogia.
So you have to give us 2 Pacific. You didn't give us one yet.
All right. You want to know one of my favorite moments? I will show you one of my favorite moments.
I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last. The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
That's a good one.
That's one. And now the other one, you're probably gonna laugh, but here we go.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder.
You do know that
Who's scruffy looking?
was in a car accident. On one side of his face, he had to wear a thing so they could screen it out.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually pictures of him wearing it. So he was in some type of car accident right before the shooting of that.
Yeah, he was in a motorcycle accident.
Tore up his face, and I think they had to use plastic surgery to fix everything.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to do this, but we gotta ask Crit what's his 2 favorite scenes of Star Wars.
No problem with that at all. Go ahead, Crit.
A New Hope or overall?
Overall, any of the 3 of the 2 trilogies, not the last one.
Okay. The original. Okay. Number 3 is when Obi-Wan's voice Luke's hears Obi-Wan's voice in the X-wing.
I think I have that clip.
Use the Force, Luke.
Mm-hmm. Very powerful. Second scene. What's the second scene? Darth. I think it's Oh, that's a hard one. There's probably the entire. It's Darth Vader's reveal to Luke, and then
Cloud City when he says, "Obi-Wan never told you."
That actually
he told me enough.
Wait.
He told me you killed him.
That's my number 1. Number 2 is Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Maul.
Nice.
Only thing about that battle I don't like. I didn't like the way Obi-Wan finished it. I think there should have been at least a little bit more sword play before he cut him in half. At least a couple swipes back and forth at each other, and then like a final maneuver that got him.
I disagree. Obi-Wan used his rage against Maul after he exited the laser gate, but because of that, he lost his footing, and Darth Maul was very confident in that scene. He was too confident, and he didn't. And the reason why Darth Maul acted the way he did when Obi-Wan jumped was because he didn't. I think he knew that Obi-Wan was going to do it, but I don't think he didn't expect. Oh, like that, he's not going to do it, and Obi-Wan did it, and he was in shock. Not enough time to block Obi-Wan's strike towards his torso.
Well, yeah, because only Obi-Wan can do the high ground move.
We need to put an honorable.
If that's not virtue signaling, I don't know what the hell.
Okay. Now, okay, I'm not done. Worst 3 moments of Star Wars. Okay, number 3, Jar Jar steps in shit twice in Phantom Menace. Just have to put that out there. Number 2, Luke. Luke was talking about it. Luke milks a cow.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, you said Rey was smiling. I thought she was in disgust, and then the cow thing looks at her like, "Yeah, baby, you want some?"
She was laughing at Luke Skywalker. But
Now,
then we
the
have
cow was laughing at Ray because he was like, "Yeah, you want some, babe?"
But we need an honorary mention of a scene that, since we're all guys here, this is perfectly. The Princess Leia slave outfit, the first time you've seen it, everybody loves it.
Oh my God, that's a misogynist.
I'm
What's
not
wrong
gonna
with you?
lie. I'm not gonna lie. I know Carrie Fisher hated it, but she looked beautiful in it.
I don't care. When you were a teenager and you saw Return of the Jedi and you saw her in that outfit, we all were staring.
Yeah.
And then episode 9, my
How
most
dare
hated
you.
moment in all of Star Wars.
How dare you?
Was the entire movie. I don't know if that counts as a movie moment, but yeah.
It had a moment, that's for sure.
That's the only movie I ever walked out of. I walked out of when they had the Death Star beam on the Star Destroyer. It was so ridiculous. I was like, no,
you got that's the generational gap right there. When you can walk out of something you paid money for or burn something you paid money for. I do not get that at all.
I burned it, and I will not lie. And I have
And
walked
you
out of
burned un-Disney stuff.
And guess what? I got walked out. I went up to the desk and I'm like, I hate this movie. Can I get my money back?
I'm sorry, because in my generation, I would have never have tried to ask for $10 back.
So I didn't get my money back, but
you shouldn't have.
Nope. I got to see. I did get a good deal out of it. I got to see the next showing of Jumanji.
And they shouldn't have given you that, dude.
The far superior movie anyway.
I'm sorry.
You paid for it. You knew what you were going into, and you decided, yes, I want to see this. And then you decided, nope, I don't want to see it.
I don't agree.
I don't want to see it.
I don't want to
Give
be.
me my money back.
1 second.
I don't get that.
What do you mean he knew what he was getting into when he saw the movie? He didn't
Well,
know that the movie was
when
going to
you
turn
go
out the way it
into
did.
any movie, do you always expect it to be good?
I expect to be entertained. I expect to get my money's worth.
Exactly.
But
the
really,
first,
if you
the first,
if you go into a movie,
the first, no, Padawannabe, the Padawannabe, the first. Wait. I'm not done. I'm not done.
Lord Crit.
1 second.
I'm not done. All right. Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah, Lord, you go.
Go ahead.
Okay, I saw Jumanji. By the way, this is the place I worked at, and I paid my own ticket. But I saw the first trailer for The Rise of Skywalker, and I was like, looks better than The Last Jedi. Did I expect what they were gonna do? Did I expect they were gonna pull? They were okay. Palpatine's coming back. Did I know that they were gonna pull it out of their ass and not explain it at all? Did I know they were gonna have Star Destroyers hidden under the ice? Did I know that they were gonna reveal Rey as a Palpatine and kill off the Skywalker lineage? No. And by the way, I found out the rest of the movie when I watched it on Disney Plus. But even then, I was glad I walked out. And I don't care if
that's just the stuff that makes me wonder, like, if you read a book and you don't like it, you're gonna return it and be like, I want all my money back.
If I buy a product and I don't like the way it operates, I'm gonna return it.
Okay, I get it. That's to me, that's a different level. Because if I buy something, I'm super excited if I get 100% satisfaction, because I literally don't believe any company ever will make that product. And maybe that's it. I'm not trying to be negative, but maybe because I'm just curious. Like, if you walk into something or you buy something and then you play with it or you watch it or you wear it or you use it, why do you think you can get full value back? It's just like when I see somebody sell a Lego set for overvalue. I will never do that. I don't understand that mentality at all.
So I'll tell you,
if I were to buy
if
a
you order
lawnmower,
food and you got food and your food was not to the standard what you ordered, you're going to shut up and eat that food, or are you going to say, take this food back, either give me a refund of my money or give me the food that I want, recook the food?
No,
reorder.
that's the point where I will say this company has lost my business forever and be totally satisfied. I don't want to talk to a management that doesn't care about me. I don't want to talk to them. It's a waste of time. Why talk to a waitress who has a bad day? It's not my fault.
You don't have to treat her like crap, but
you guys want to. That's why with the new Disney movies, I'll only watch it as much as I will. You will never get my loyalty to the old movies and the old content.
I have
you will never have that.
The Rise of Skywalker came out the same time as Mandalorian season 2, and like, all right, well, Star Wars is recovering from that Last Jedi fiasco. And then I saw the Rise of Skywalker, and I'm like, no, I was wrong.
I walked out of one movie ever before Star Wars Last Jedi, and that was Battle Beyond the Stars. It came out the same time as The Empire Strikes Back, and that was the worst sci-fi movie I have ever seen in my entire life.
It's a Roger
It
Corman.
was so bad. I was with my dad and my brother, and I'm like, we walked. Don't even ask for a refund. It was that bad. Nobody I know can ever say they watched Battle Beyond the Stars from beginning to end.
I did.
That's not how I have it. I'll watch it again. I have a question for that. Are you watching so many movies at that point that you watched a bad movie? Because I can't do that. Like, I have to pick what movies I see.
I never go by what someone tells me to watch. I like to watch it myself and then judge.
And
sometimes some people will say a movie's bad. Okay, Willow did not do good in the box office. Where it did good was on HBO, pay-per-view,
video stores.
So, but when I saw Willow, I would have wished I did see that in the movie theater.
And I'll tell you what, a movie everyone didn't like, but I liked it recently. It was The Matrix 4. I enjoyed that film.
I liked that.
I paid for it. I paid for it.
But I still would not understand how somebody could get their money back. I don't get that. I don't understand how you can purchase an idea, an item, a print, whatever, and then be like,
if that print,
I just don't
I'm going to return it.
Maybe it's because I don't understand. Like, I do a lot of research before I buy things, even a poster, and this is the sole reason why I don't have tattoos, because I can't sell into one idea for that long. And maybe that's the thing. But it's like, if I buy something, you have the chance to look at it, especially nowadays. You almost can watch the entire product before you buy it, and people still want their money back. This is not 20 years ago.
I had a nephew who bought a $3,000 computer, and when they shipped to him, the parts were not all what he wanted.
And I'm not trying to cut you off, but
no, I'm just
special instances, I get all that. But I'm talking about
sometimes you don't get what you pay for, and
exactly.
I can demand your money back.
I can bring up a perfect example. Before
but
I got
a movie,
the computer
I don't get a movie.
Have,
if you buy a Lego set and you don't get half the pieces, I totally get that. If you get a movie and all of us, like, I bought the Back to the Future trilogy, and I got Back to the Future 1, Back to the Future 2, and Back to the Future 2. I didn't get Back to the Future 3. That makes sense to turn it back in. But if you buy the DVD and then you're like, well, I don't really like this, and you've had 2 years to figure out if it's a movie you would even be interested in,
buying a DVD is
that
different
blows me
than
away.
going to the movie theater and saying this movie is dread awful, and in 20 minutes say I'm out of here.
And that to me, maybe that's the thing, because I wouldn't, if I go to a restaurant and they cook a bad steak, I'm never going there again. And they may not even know that. I may not tell them, but that's my thing. Like, forget it. You're never getting any money ever again.
So you're telling me if you go in for a tattoo and you think you're getting the one on the left, but you get the one on the right, you're not going to ask for your money back.
And that's why I've never got a tattoo.
Well,
I
I'm just saying,
understand.
even if you did.
I understand realistic expectations. That's why if you rent a book from the library, you're like, I don't like that. Really? You're going to get your $75.50 back?
Who
That's
rents
what, to me, that's what I look at. Like, to me, $8, $12, $16 isn't worth it.
When you're buying it that way, that's different. But
I
when
don't
you're
understand.
in a movie theater and you're seeing a movie, if, like, for example, say you want to go see Blade 3.
Yeah,
I would walked out, and I would, in 10 minutes of that movie, or even 15, I would have went there. I say, either give me my money back or give me a ticket to another movie.
And I never would have asked them for my money back because I chose to see that movie. That's on me.
Then you're blowing money.
Well, yeah. And this dude burned all his Star Wars stuff.
I would.
It was his choice. It was his choice.
It was his choice.
Burn. Didn't they say
that's your
forget
choice.
the past, burn it if you have to, burn it all
Don't have to
down?
listen to him.
Remember,
I don't understand. I really value my dollar.
So
I'm
here's the
super selective. You guys, how many movies have you seen this year? How many movies have you gone to the theater and seen this year? I haven't gone at all because I can't afford it.
What, two?
$20 freaking dollars.
I understand. I understand prices are high for movie
A-list
and everything, but I will never knock somebody. I'm not saying you are. I wouldn't knock somebody like Crit, who went to go see, I think it was Sonic in the theater. If he can afford it, and he can go to a theater and see multiple movies,
it's only $20.
God bless you, Crit. That's more power to him. That's what he chooses to do.
A-list, only $20 a
I
month.
mean,
You get three movies a week.
I remember as a
$20 a month is
in my 20s.
Some people,
movie theaters was the place to go to movies, and saw multiple movies a day. I saw 2 or 3 movies a day, sometimes.
Okay, Phil. All right, Padawannabe, you said that's expensive. How much is a ticket for a movie?
I understand, and that's the entire reason. Like, I'm on the edge of tears right now thinking about this. I literally can't go to the theater because gas and bills and jobs are so expensive and so hard to come by for a normal person. I think I'm the only one here that's not a creator. I want to. I literally don't.
I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't have no desire to.
But you guys, honestly, do you guys look at your time on Discord and YouTube as too much? Because I do.
No,
I honestly
because
feel
I do multiple things.
No,
I
work too much.
I do multiple things. I stay in touch with family.
I like talking with people on Discord, like Phil.
and this is the streams and the YouTube. That's what keeps me connected with my Star Wars people, and I love that. And that's the biggest reason why I'm so involved. And even though I'm not a creator, a lot of people know my name, and I'm very proud of that.
You should
But
be.
honestly, I haven't seen a movie in the theater since Fantastic Beasts 2 because I can't do it.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. The only 2 reasons as to why I'm going to be able to see Top Gun Maverick when it comes out Friday is, one, it's playing at a theater that's down the street from me that only charges $7 a ticket, and 2, I can ride my bike to that theater.
So
I don't have to take a car.
I cheated. I got Dr. Pepper Berry, and they had the coupons in there for the new Jurassic movie.
So
that's how I'm going
I
to go
saw
see.
that. I almost did it.
I am going to see that movie in the theaters.
So I don't want to ever judge people on how much they spend, but I spend $20 a month. How much does it cost for an IMAX ticket, which I can get access to? Let's see here. Hold on. I'm going to look.
And don't forget, Chris, some movie theaters have matinee.
So,
if you go during the matinee, sometimes you can get it for $8.
Okay,
there's rarely a time I go to the movie theater at night.
Okay,
It's always a matinee.
So value. This is the most valuable movie deal. If you don't want to spend money on movie tickets, A-list, you get 3 movies a week for 4 weeks. If you have time to go to a movie by taking a bus, you basically a free ticket, and it can be anything. It can be IMAX. So how much do I spend on a movie ticket? Well, the theater's downtown, $2 for the bus ride. All right. If I'm gonna go see Top Gun Maverick on the big IMAX stream. That's $14.29. That's a free ticket because so basically the value of that big premium theater is $5. And I get a $5 reward, and a drink is $8. So, how much do I spend?
I appreciate that so much. I'm just in a different position.
I'm
not putting anybody down. I'm not doing anything like that. But even when I went to the Harry Potter Fantastic Beasts 2, I was taking, because I'm a fiance. I have my fiance. She has 2 daughters. They have a husband and a boyfriend. So I ended up taking 7 people to a movie. I have never paid over $100 for tickets in my entire life. That was an entirely different experience. And that was pre-pandemic. And now I love discounts, and I love deals, and I love all that stuff. But when you don't get to go that often, you can't plan ahead of time, and it's just like, God, I just want to do something with the people I want to do it with. Like, if I wanted to do something with you guys, we'd have to do a whole lot of planning, and sometimes it's like that with family. And gosh, I love you guys, and I appreciate all the ideas and things like that, but it's so different for everybody. And it's so, when you take that many people, all of a sudden gas starts becoming a thing, and that's not fair. I have children, I have grandchildren. Pacific, but see, I don't get to go see a movie by myself. No. I will tell you this. If you think movie tickets are expensive, try taking 5 people and go to the nosebleed section of any stadium. How much do they charge for a ticket nowadays? I've only seen 2 football events and maybe 5 or 6 basketball events. And it was for the Sacramento Kings in their heyday. And I was still paying over $100 a ticket. 30 garbage. I noticed that might sound like a lot of years. But 30 years ago, a nosebleed ticket might give you maybe $20, $25. Yeah. Nowadays, the nosebleed tickets is what, $60, $70?
Yeah.
And that's a nosebleed ticket. And that might be, it doesn't matter, baseball, football. Yeah, that makes sense for any sport, any fan. And
you mentioned baseball, Phil.
God bless these people that can afford season tickets. And I know movie theaters have a package where you can get to go see every movie if you want to a year. You pay a certain amount and you can get a season pass for your movie tickets. But for sporting events, you get a season ticket. God bless you, but you're paying a couple grand out there.
So I don't.
So go ahead, Mike.
Well, back to your thing. I don't agree. And that's what it's marketing. We go to these things because it marketed well, and like, all right, well, I want to see this. There have been movies in the past where they make it look cool, and then you go see it, and it's a steaming pile of shit. Like the last, what's that?
I literally can't tell
Muscle
you
Shoot?
the last movie that I paid money. But then that's the thing. Like, if I pay money for a movie, it's gonna be something I want to see. I don't have that ability to watch enough movies. When I was in junior high and like a freshman in high school, so around 88 to 90, my buddy and me would movie hop. We'd pick a day every month because there were so many movies coming out that every month we would pick a day and we'd theater hop, open to close. So 10 a.m. to midnight. And we'd watch every movie we could. And we still couldn't keep up. And that's movie like even nighttime movie tickets were only $7. And now they're like over $10. So I mean, it just, when you were looking at saving money even way back then, and I was picking games, picking movies, I'm still picking movies. There's collections I haven't even completed. I don't even have a full Star Wars collection. I don't have all the Clone Wars. I don't have all of Rebels because I just can't just go out and buy these things. I always have to look for a sale. I always have to look for a discount. I'm always saving and I'm always looking for that deal.
That's what you get for being poor. Trust me.
Well, I get it.
I know.
And
I mean, I grew up
because
dirt
of my
poor.
collection. If I didn't collect Star Wars, I'd have thousands and thousands of more dollars. If I was a boring individual, just like everybody else I know who has nothing to talk about except their job, that's what makes me different. That's what makes us all different.
It's
because
the fact
we
that
love something. We love anything. We love something.
Things are always, when you spend money, we all have budgets. None of us here are DuPonts. You know, we all have budgets. Where I put my money, spending money, and where Pacific puts his spending money might be two different ways.
Yep.
You know, or Pacific might be able to afford a little bit more than me.
Yep.
I won't care. You know, congratulations, Pacific. He can buy 5 Star Wars black action figures. I can buy 2. My belief is, you know, I get what I can afford and I'm happy with it. If I
Yes.
can't afford something, it's just out of my reach. I'm sorry, it's out of my reach. There's some people, they'll live in I don't mean to put no one down. They'll live in a apartment, yet they're driving a Corvette. Yet somebody is driving a Ford
Yeah,
Fiesta
seen that.
and they're living in a house. Who's being more frugal with their money? I'd rather have the house and the Ford Fiesta than to have the Corvette and be living in an apartment. Nothing against an apartment. I'm just saying some people's priorities, and that person might be happy with their Corvette. Myself, I would be happy living in the house. It's all according to the individual, you know. I have family members, they smoke cigarettes like a chain smoker. Cigarettes today are what, $8 a pack? And
$10.
if they're smoking 3 packs a day, that's $30. In a month, that's $900. And if that person can't afford to buy a Star Wars action figure, maybe you need to cut the smoking down a bit, and you can.
So that's where I look at the priorities.
Yep,
It's
it's
like,
always
what do
coming
what
down
do
to
you want
priorities.
more, and that's where I've had to live my whole life. Like, what do I want? This, or do I want to? But that's kind of the weird thing, because your habits, say smoking, or maybe having a few drinks a week, you know, having that bottle of alcohol or whatever, or even back in the day when it used to cost a whole bunch to be online, every minute you were paying money to be online, and people doing that stuff. And it's just a different, it's a different generation. People nowadays, because, and I was mentioning this before, like anybody with the original trilogy and even up to the prequel trilogy, you had that tactile connection with Star Wars. You had this toys. You wanted the toys. I mean, with the original trilogy, we wanted the toys because there was so little, and it became less and less and less. And then with the prequel toys, we wanted them because there was so much.
I
Are you
will say
kidding me?
this,
I love
for
prequel era
original
because there
trilogy
was
people,
so much
we
to
wanted to play with the toys.
Yes.
We wanted to play with the toys. By
Yes,
the end of
accessories
the by the end of the 80s, you wanted to collect the toys because
Well,
you
I
found out
wasn't there yet. I wanted to talk about this a little when you guys were discussing this earlier, but I jumped on so late. But
you start the Star Wars collecting. You have to understand, and I'll use this: baseball cards. As a kid, everybody collected. As a boy, you collected baseball cards. By the time you get out of the 90s, baseball cards dropped. Today, they weren't as worth a value as they were in the 80s and the 90s. You had a Cal Ripken
exactly
Jr.
what I
card
wanted to
from
talk about.
Topps. You had money. You have it today. It isn't as valuable as it was in the 90s.
Yep.
The baseball card collection dropped.
Yeah,
Right
Phil,
now,
this is
I
exactly
guarantee
what I
you, if
wanted
you
to
were
talk
a Doctor Who collector, you can probably right now you can go in there, you can buy all the Doctor Who you want. It isn't as valued as it was before.
No, because
BBC trashed it.
none
And
of
I
it's
can
selling.
guarantee you, in a couple of weeks, if Star Wars gets destroyed by Obi-Wan, it'll bottom out. And people, and once your Star Wars collection isn't worth anything, you're going to have a few people that are going to say, I'm going to get rid of it, sell it. But then you're going to have Star Wars people, they'll say, hey, this is my stuff. It's not the value of what it's worth, it's what it means to me.
And I could sell everything I have now for twice the value of what it was just because of the hype Star Wars has
But
right
like
now.
I said, everything, there's always the roller coaster in collecting.
Yep.
And you have to ask yourself, are you collecting because you want to collect it, or are you trying to get into it to make money? And you
that
have
was
to
always
watch
my
it.
thing.
Sometimes, like baseball cards is an example,
Mhm.
but there's others out there. The bottom drops out sometimes. I will tell you this: I had Cal Ripken Jr. cards like you wouldn't believe, because in '83 I was getting so many of the tops, and I was buying them. I was getting maybe out of every 4 packs one Cal Ripken Jr. card. In the 90s, I sold each one of them cards for $250. You can go look right now and look at the Topps card, 1983 Cal Ripken. It was a 3-person, was a rookies cards were 3 people on there. That Cal Ripken Jr. card you couldn't get $200 for, and he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, it changed after what happened.
It all depends on the supply and demand. Doctor Who memorabilia was worth a lot before they trashed that series, that show. They were worth a lot. And I know people talk about Gary on YouTube. He was a big time collector. He doesn't collect that no more.
No, he barely talks about it
And
anymore.
if you go, you might be able to go into a store. I doubt you'll see any Doctor Who memorabilia anymore. You might be able to find on eBay.
10 years ago, you can go into stores and find Doctor Who merchandise.
Yep.
But it really was still limited. Doctor Who, I remember walking into comic book stores, and I would see it. I knew about it before I knew what it was. But it was not, in America, I could imagine in Britain and UK it being a different deal. And I don't know what their thing was here, but in comic book stores in the 90s in America, where I was in California, comic book stores were exploding. They were
It was pretty much
huge
everywhere with the
stores.
comic books. But
And just-
unfortunately now, if you're lucky to see a comic book store.
No,
Because
yeah.
like,
To me,
it-
I walk in a comic book store now and I
Mhm.
feel like they're really trying to push their inventory. Like, please get it out of this store. I don't want it. Whereas before, they would put prices on it that they knew people would pay for.
when it comes to comic books, I think their heyday was the 80s and the 90s.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
was popular in the 70s, don't get me wrong. But people started getting into the comic books, not because they wanted to read the comic books, because they wanted to buy something as an
Yeah.
investment. They did the same
To
thing with
investment,
baseball
I
cards.
noticed that a lot.
And then
I had friends, like I was looking into comic books for art and
Mhm.
story. And then all of a sudden, all of my friends, they were like, whoa, this is really cool. And they got into it. And all of a sudden, within a month or two of them, quote unquote, collecting, they're already asking the comic book owners, hey, how much do you think this is worth? And I'm thinking, you don't get it. You really don't get it. You're not going to ask that. You don't buy an action figure and go, hey, how much do you think this one's worth? How much do you think this is going to be worth in 10 years? Do you think this is really popular? Should I buy this one?
ask yourself this, or anybody, when was the last time you bought music on a CD?
That's the only way I buy it.
Well, I know a lot of people like that. That's the way I only buy it. But buying music on a CD,
It's different now.
It's no. People don't even buy music anymore. They don't buy
Yeah.
music.
To me, I just grew up in the like as digital became a thing,
Mhm.
and I've acquired or I've recorded too many digital things that just corrupt or disappear or whatever happens to them. And it's like, well, I wouldn't have that problem if I bought a $6 used CD.
No. You used to have used record stores. They don't exist no more.
Love used.
They're
everything.
pretty much
Yeah,
out of
very
business.
seldom.
But
Very
think
seldom.
about this: 80s and 90s, there was cassettes, and then you got CDs, and they were very popular and they were very expensive. But after the 90s, ask how many people really bought music. You might have been in the 90s and the 80s buying an album maybe every other week, where now you're lucky if somebody buys a CD of music maybe once a year, maybe twice
Yeah.
max. It's
Yeah, and I
it's
just don't think
every,
those
every
patrons have enough
if you see
experience.
it, like I said, when it comes not just for comic books, not for memorabilia, not for just music, and I'm talking like all entertainment. How many people today? You get a PS5, you have two options. One with a disc drive, so you can buy a hard copy and keep it, or you get the PS5 that has you have to download. You have no choice, just download. Now I have no problems downloading.
You know what that option is for?
Yeah,
It's for the parents who don't want to invest thousands of dollars, but they'll invest hundreds of dollars to keep their children appeased. I think those things are a total American, like, let's go for the money thing.
Japan is very more into the video games and games like for that than we are. They got us beat hands down. When Japan
Yeah.
is, if a kid doesn't have 3 or 4 different systems and a computer, they're not up with the times. But
Guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up.
slow?
No. Well, thank you for having me on Pacific. I'm sorry
You're
I'm the
welcome,
old
Phil.
part here.
He's leaving after that.
You know, happy
I'm
Star
gonna go
Wars
ahead and
Day,
wrap this up,
everybody.
Padawannabe.
So I just hope at the end of all this that we all have our fingers crossed for Obi-Wan. Let's just hope it doesn't sink like the Titanic.
We'll find out Friday.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll probably say something about it, but I don't know what my reaction is going to be.
I might do a video on it. Maybe.
But I do want to thank you guys for being on here. Anono Mass, Phil McCracken, Lord Crit, DJRonnieG, Padawannabe, The Smoking Patriot, Star Wars Theology. Thank you guys for coming on tonight. I know things got heated, but that's also part of being a fan. That's part of caring and being passionate about what you love. I mean, if you guys don't believe me, watch any of my recaps of the Cub games for the box score. You'll see me in games where they just frustrated me, and I don't hold back.
Mm-hmm.
And
when you're a diehard fan of your sports team, I think more sports teams than anything. When they win, it's the grace of God. When your team loses, it's like the epitome of the world coming to an end.
And I did not think that anything was heated tonight, personally. I thought this was a good conversation, and I never felt uncomfortable or anything.
Oh, man. It was just, it's fine. Everything, nobody's mad at nobody. This is a passionate discussion, I guess, on certain topics. And, we're all walking away happy. It's Star Wars Day. We got to talk about our favorite franchise, and
I don't say anything negative about what we said, what anybody said.
No.
I really wanted to come on mics and just really so push the Lucas stuff. That's all. That's the only thing. I love all you guys. Y'all are great, and Pac-Man.
Pacific,
you're
can
awesome
I plug
for
one
giving
thing?
Everybody, great stuff.
Yes.
Okay. I know Crit's going to get mad when I say this, but hashtag release the Shatner cut Star Trek 5. Thank you.
As a matter of
Don't hate
fact,
me,
if you
Crit.
guys want to plug your channels, please do so. And hello, Bone. How you doing, brother?
We're plugging. Oh yeah, 2 weeks. You guys were complaining about The Last Jedi. Well, the solution is here. Let me see. I just had it. I lost it. Oh wait, I found it. Aha.
Joke's over.
I don't know. Here it is. Here it is. Ta-da. The solution has come. And it's coming in 2 weeks. So
nice.
Oh, Pacific, I do still have that one thing I wanted to show, and it's to me it's super positive about the prequels and Ewan and Hayden. I don't know if you want to bump that in.
Yeah. Give me a second. I'm putting Crit's link in there real quick, then I'll.
Oh, no problem. Let me try and I'll get the share ready.
All right.
Okay. Yep. Coming in. Run it. The movie is 3 hours and 3 hours long. So I know better late than never is basically it.
No problem with that, Bone. Show up anytime, brother. All right.
I just want to say it's sad that Crit didn't ask me to voice in his movie. Maybe Pacific you got in, but I was left out. I'm sad.
I've been working on that since 2019, Phil. So
still, you could have found a small part for me, even if it was like a little minor robot.
Do you think you've got the most dedicated fan base?
I don't know. These wasn't you talking bad about the prequels not too long ago?
I don't care what they say in the past, because I know how old Hollywood was compared to new Hollywood. Old Hollywood doesn't talk shit about their projects. New Hollywood hates everybody. So, but I found this a very good interaction between these two gentlemen. And anybody who loves the prequels, I think will like this.
Padawannabe muted.
Yeah, get headphones, man. Headphones.
Yeah,
that's all right. You'll have to clip it out. You'll be all right.
Yeah, that's all I gotta do.
It's bad that when Lord Crit pops on that image of that hard person. Do it again. One more time, Crit. Ugh. It's hard.
X-Wing.
It's hard. Hashtag the X-Wing.
But yeah, thank you guys for coming on again. Really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. I don't know if I'm the only one here that is doing YouTube besides Mike. But if you want, maybe DJ does. Go check out my channel, I guess. Just dropped a new review for Star Trek Strange New Worlds if you want to go look at that. And
you're a trooper.
Yeah, it was rough. It took me, it's the longest video I've ever did. It was 25 minutes long. It had 5 pages of dialogue. That was that many just screw ups in the whole show. It was terrible. So
wow, dude.
Yeah, it was hard. But so yeah, if you want to check it out, and I got other stuff, you can watch my 15-minute rant on the Resident Alien season 2, which was even worse than Star Trek. Yeah, go for it. And I appreciate you. Just leave a like and a comment or something if you want. It doesn't matter. But it's been good being on here. I enjoyed Star Trek Day. Or Star Trek Days. Look at me. I'm a terrible human being.
He just mentioned Star Trek, and that's
Yeah,
what
You know,
happened.
there's some channels, if you slip like that and mention Star Trek on the Star Wars channel, they will have your head.
I know. I don't doubt it. I don't. I really don't. Yeah, Star Wars Day. Okay. Yeah, it's been great, guys. Appreciate it. Been fun.
Thank you for coming on, brother. Really appreciate it.
I thank you for letting me come on, because you know what? Not a lot of people do that, and this is what you get when you let all the looky-loos into your channel. But it still can be fun.
Yeah, of
course.
I know that. I know the risk when I do it.
You got a Cubs fan on the opposite end of you, and on this end where I'm at, I'm an Oakland A's fan, and we kind of coexist.
And I'm the non-sports ball guy in the middle, the sandwich. So
there you go. You can say you like everybody else besides the Cubs and the A's, and you'll be.
I used to be a Mets fan.
How can you be with that accent like a Yankee team from New York City?
I don't know. I'm from the North originally. Not New
that,
York, but
how did you get that accent?
I spent too much time in the South.
Have you become Southern?
I've been gentrified. Yes.
Very good. Do you denounce your Yankee ways?
I denounce what the North has become.
Okay,
and I did not become that.
Welcome to the South. We Southerners welcome you wholeheartedly.
Yeah, my father was from the South. My mother was from the North, and spent a few years up north, moved down south, and spent the rest of my life. So.
The hard. I know what you go through.
Yeah.
Someday we'll rescue Pacific from that hard Yankee city called Chicago.
Oh no. He's close enough. He can make the journey and the transition.
I'm not even from Chicago. I'm originally from the San Diego area.
That's even worse. You should say you're from Chicago. Anybody that acknowledge they're from California, you can't do that no more. You're from Chicago. I Christian ED. You're from Chicago that lives out there.
My birth certificate would say otherwise.
It doesn't matter. You can change what's on a birth certificate.
I know.
If you can change your gender, you can change what's on a birth certificate.
Oh God, he went there.
Oh,
Sorry.
really, man?
End the show. End the show.
Wow. That's how we're gonna end it.
Yes. Before it's too late.
Oh, let me just put one more link in there. I mean, I gotta put DJRonnieG's link in there. Please, all the links that are being put into the chat or have already been put in the chat, please subscribe to those channels. They deserve it. They put hard work in their videos and their content. Give them the support. Because without all of us, we're not anything. We depend on
I
one
have
another.
no content.
Too late. Your link's already in there.
We can hate subscribe.
I will have content. It's not because everything is so Star Wars oriented. I thought maybe I should go back and do something. So within the next couple months, I will be doing a Smallville stream or podcast, whichever you pick. But I have a partner that has many online face-to-face interviews with many of these cast members. So this will be a very fun opportunity and experience for me. So anybody, if you've never watched it or if you have, please come and subscribe. This is something that will be coming up.
Cool beans.
Very cool. Yes, and tomorrow on the channel, I will be doing another live stream at 8 o'clock Eastern. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern for anyone who wants to get technical about it. And, well, we're a week away from season 3 of the Orville, so that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to speculate what we might expect in season 3 of the Orville. And I do have a small clip here that I'm going to play that kind of gives us a clue as to what we're going to see in season 3.
Gather your team. Surrender or you will die. Complete the mission at all costs.
Can't shake him! Hang on to something!
How
Anybody doing a watch party for these first 2 seasons?
The Orville could have saved Star Trek had they just let my man made it. But this is what happens, and God bless him. His Orville is doing 10 times more wonders than our current Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Love Orville.
If Star Trek was still good,
they didn't want to pay him. They didn't want. They pretty much told him go away.
Yeah.
Well, this is what they get. If Star Trek was any good, the Orville wouldn't be a thing.
You know. Well, what I'm saying is, if they would have had that as Star Trek would be so much in a better place than it is now. You know.
Well, I don't know what to say, but this is the same kind of experience when Frank Miller left writing RoboCop 2.
Well, wait, what? He was in RoboCop 2.
Frank Miller, the comic book author, wrote RoboCop 2 and was supposed to write RoboCop 3, but because of how much they changed it, he decided he will never deal with Hollywood again. And we did not hear from him again until 300. And that shattered everything in the movie industry.
I thought it was Sin City that he did.
Sin City was an original comic by him, but 300 also was an original comic from him, as was Batman versus Superman, an original comic from Frank Miller. There are many great, appreciated authors in comic books that, because they were comic book authors in the 90s, They did not get enough credit. Chris Claremont, Frank Miller, there's countless others, the Kubrick brothers. All of these people went on to build their own comic book universities and art institutions.
The thing is, when it comes to creativity, sometimes in the beginning, to get your foot in the door, you sell your soul. An example, Sylvester Stallone and Rocky. He didn't make money off Rocky. He actually had to sell the rights in order to even get that movie made. So all that money that was made, Rocky 2, 3, 4, 5, Balboa, and Creed, Sylvester Stallone doesn't get anything. He sold his soul to get the movie made. But that got him foot through the door. That happens to a lot of people. You talked about Harry Potter. The lady who wrote Harry Potter, she didn't make money off none of the movies because she was giving a flat $200,000 for the rights of the movie. Now, she had rights to say who was in the movie, who could do what, and what was done, but she did not get paid because all her money was in the books. When she sold the rights for the movies, she got a big fee of $200K. That was it. But sometimes that's what you have to do to get your foot in the door. And a lot of the comic book people in the 80s and 90s, in order to get themselves through the door or get into Marvel or to even have anything, they sold their, I hate to say their souls, but they sold their creativity. And that's why you see they have a major lawsuit going on to try to get some type of money, because let's say they have the character, whoever wrote Iron Man and created Iron Man, for an example, just because he's in the movies and Marvel and Disney's making millions of dollars, the guy who created that doesn't get that. He don't get anything, because to get his character created with Marvel, you had to sell your rights. So
that was the price to pay to work for Marvel. You didn't get any rights to whatever characters you created.
Yeah, and let's just say, for example, the writer and creator of Iron Man, in order to do that, that's what he had to do. But that might mean later on, if he creates a new character for himself, for his own comic books, that got his foot through the door, like Sylvester Stallone. We wouldn't have got Rambo. We wouldn't have got none of the movies with Sylvester Stallone in it if he didn't write Rocky and sell the rights to it. We probably wouldn't know who he was if he didn't do that. Sometimes the ends justify the means, is what I'm trying to say.
Yep,
but that happens in everything, Padawannabe. It's not just that. Even in sports, I mean, a person might be great on one team, and then once he gets great, he wants to make money, and then he goes to another team, but then he totally stinks.
I can give you a perfect example on that one. Jason Hayward.
Perfect.
2015, he was a St. Louis Cardinal. He did well. And then after the 2015 season, he became a free agent. The Cubs signed him to a long-term contract. And, well, yeah.
There you go.
I'll keep it at that.
But then there's some people, they're not really good on that team. Let's just say they're on the Reds, and the person totally is mediocre, gets traded to another team, and is the greatest superstar that you can think of.
Michael Jordan.
You'll be like, how can them people have ever given him away? It's just it has to do with right place, right time, and situation.
The environment.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was always told this: the greatest baseball player never played baseball. The greatest football player never played football. Sometimes you wouldn't even know it and realize it. You would say, oh, this person that played AAA, he was magnificent. This guy should be going to the pros and be a Hall of Famer. once he gets there, for whatever reason, garbage, And it's not that the person doesn't have talent. He just wasn't in the right place, the right time, right situation,
Or he's called up far too soon.
There you go. Sometimes, you see how many times they always say a player been drafted and he's a bust. Where earlier, you can say this specific, even in baseball, in the 70s and the 80s, you might have not put that guy who's a rookie in every game right away. He might have played every 5th game because he's a rookie till he learns. Then the second season, he becomes the player. This day and age, you draft somebody, definitely anybody in the first round in any sport, he's got to be able to play right out the gate.
Yep.
And if not, he's a bust.
Yep.
It's sad. And that's the same
There's
thing.
no Ricky Bobby stories.
Oh, Ricky Bobby. Oh, God. But
Shake and bake. Yes, sometimes I watch movies like that just because I need a laugh.
Yeah, there's no building up. You need to do it now or you're done. And do it now is like 3 years. Where do it now used to be 10 years.
You had a football coach, all right, Mike Ditka. It took him a couple years, at least 3 or 4 before the Bears won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, let's go ahead and continue this conversation
Another day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mark
Star
it
Wars.
down. Mark it down. All right, everybody.
Star Wars, get your
start.
How much do
Wow, crit. Okay.
Oh, and then he left.
I was expecting him to say,
I'll
"Get
get
your
him in cash
floaties."
money later.
Don't worry.
All right,
Have a good
guys,
night,
have
everybody.
have a good day. Happy Star Wars Day to everybody.
Happy
Fingers
life,
crossed for
yay.
everyone.
Fingers
night.
crossed for Kenobi. Good night.